2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The ball with a turnover, nice Denver D. Porter at the other end, and he tries and he gets it to go. Beating the clock. Court length, it's intercepted. Murray, good at the goals. Got it! A big time three!
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
That was Kevin Harlan on TNT staring down Jamal Murray after he made that half-court shot to end the first half. The Nuggets even this series at 2 games apiece. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, we got ourselves a series here. The reports of the Nuggets' demise were premature. Clearly, Perloff.
I'm going to have to eat bull's testicles? I'm just going to say it.
Happy Monday, everyone.
I was sure there's nothing worse than losing a bet that you thought you had won. Yeah. I was sure we had a food bet here on Maggie and Perloff. You had to eat lime jello tuna.
Yeah. Ooh.
Which is really disgusting. I was so looking forward to watching you gag on that. Sorry. Because you hate jello like substances. This is the worst jello I've ever seen. I never considered when the T-Wolves were up 2-0, never even considered that I was going to lose this bet. And I have to eat, what are they called, Rocky Mountain oysters?
Yeah, what the weekend hath brought for you, Andrew
Perloff. Oh, my God. So how do you prepare these things? Because I'll tell you right now.
Well, okay.
I'm losing the bet, Maggie. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Denver, they figured it out.
Well, you're saying this series is over.
Over.
I don't know if I can go that far. Now, I'd love for the series to be over because I don't want to eat that lime jello tuna thing with green olives, blah. And I do want to see you eat the Rocky Mountain oysters. But here's the thing. Yes, this series definitely feels like it turned. However, I just watched the Timberwolves win 2 games in Denver. So if this series had been, the Nuggets won their 2 games on their home floor, then the Timberwolves went home and they, returned the favor, and now we're tied 2-2, I feel like the Nuggets had this major advantage. But the Timberwolves have no fear of going into Denver. They've already done it twice. There's not that mental hurdle of, I can't beat this team at high altitude or with Jokic or whatever it is. I watched them do it. So they have the muscle memory. I'm not ready to write off the Timberwolves just yet.
I think the Nuggets figured out what was going on, that the T-Wolves were just allowed to play very physically in game one, and the Nuggets sort of started to figure out in game two. Then Jokic is coming out there like his brothers and just being like, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't out-physical Nikola Jokic, which is an incredible testament to why he's the MVP. I think he set the tone physically, and you're not going to push us around anymore. So once they decided we're going to match their aggressiveness, I think that's what turned the series. I mean, it helps to have Aaron Gordon hit every shot. That's a big thing too. Maybe that's the one. Maybe all of a sudden the role players in Denver start to miss shots, but still, I think the physicality in Denver making a mental switch is what changed the series.
Let's hear from Michael Malone. Can we peek Cup 4? The coach of the Denver Nuggets saying people counting them out, but they knew how to stop the Timberwolves. Here's how.
A lot of people were, understandably so, saying the series is over. And, to come up here and even it up on the road, we played good basketball. And we know that they're going to come out very spirited, just like Anthony Edwards did tonight. We knew he was going to do that. And you tip your cap to him. He's an incredible young player. But he got his, but we did a good job on everybody else.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key here, too. This has got to be the Kobe treatment a little bit. You got to let Anthony Edwards get 50 or whatever. Last night, he had 44. And then you try to shut down the rest of the supporting cast, and you're going to have to dare the Karl Anthony Townses to beat you, basically. And it had been the Minnesota Timberwolves, their depth and their defense, that had really been the difference. And where did the defense go? I mean, in these last two games, you had the Denver Nuggets shooting over 46% from three and over 58% from the field. I mean, you mentioned Aaron Gordon started off red hot. They couldn't miss. And this Timberwolves vaunted defense that had been ranked number one all year long in the last two games completely shrunk.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels were these long wings who could just pressure Denver. I don't know what happened to those guys. I knew Gobert was a stiff on defense. I'm going to go ahead and say it. He's Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame because of his defense.
It's amazing. The voters in the NBA awards, they might be the worst voters. I mean, football voters are bad. The NBA voters seem to have no idea what's actually happening on the court, which is always baffling to me. But obviously, Rudy Gobert is a slight problem if you can pull him out on the pick and roll. And even last night, you saw the bad Gobert. The Gobert who might get the offensive rebound, then he'll get fouled and miss the free throws. I was very disappointed in them as somebody who does not want to eat Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah.
It's the back line. But really, here's the guy under pressure. You're right. Anthony Edwards is going to get Karl Anthony Towns gets paid like an NBA star, was drafted number one.
Yep.
Is one of the great three-point shooting big men of all time. He's got to step up and be a star. And honestly, Maggie, I don't think he can do it. I'm not sure exactly what is missing with Cat.
Yeah.
But there just seems to be something that other stars have that he has not had consistently.
5 for 18, 1 for 4 from three last night, finished with 13 points. He did have 12 rebounds, but the thing about Towns, a couple things. You're right. We've always been waiting for him to sort of take that next step. And you thought with Anthony Edwards kind of dragging him along, like Anthony Edwards will call him out publicly. He'll get on him, stay on him. Towns mentioned something yesterday about how he was disappointed in himself, and especially on Mother's Day. And I wonder if his mother, who passed away from COVID, and he's been a big and outspoken person during the pandemic about, trying to stay safe and all that stuff. I wonder if he was pressing a little bit too much. Yesterday's a tough day for a lot of people. It's a great day, but it can be a tough day, and especially for someone's lost their mom, and I think that maybe that was playing into it just a little bit. So we'll see, because Anthony Edwards is going to stay on him, and he's going to keep holding him accountable. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about Edwards, because he's 22 years old, and he's holding accountable a veteran who also was the number one pick, as you mentioned, also has all the money in the world now. And for Cat to respond to that, well, we'll see if he does, but to be okay with Anthony Edwards calling him out, that says something about Towns. So we'll see.
I don't know. That makes it sound like he's going to turn it around in Game 5. Do you really have faith in that?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure, because I've never really thought that Towns was a winning player.
Yeah, I know.
And
we all kind of think that way about Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he's a great regular season player. He has all the skills. For some reason, he doesn't seem built for the playoffs. Now, he has every this is basically a 3-game series now. He has every chance to prove us wrong, and I pray that he does. I do not want to eat this horrible food.
Oh, man.
But I just cannot put my money on Karl Anthony Towns. He's a good player, but you have to be great to knock out the champion. And I don't know if he can be great right now.
Well, it's a great point, and we're talking about the Nuggets evening the series last night. They take 2 on Minnesota's home court, so this series shifts back to Denver, and that's going to be on Tuesday, right? Here's Anthony Edwards. If you're looking for a guy who has all the confidence in the world, it is this young man.
We won 2 games. They won 2 games. At this point, it's just whoever win 2 games. So I don't know how people look at it, but I look at it like I'm happy. I'm ready. We're competing at the highest level, and I'm smiling about it because I'm happy. I'm ready to go play. If we play tomorrow, I'll be ready. So it's going to be fun.
Man, I believe him. I believe he would want to play tomorrow. And he had also said that he thought that the Timberwolves came out a little flat on Friday night because there was an extra day of rest, which clearly helped Jamal Murray on the Nuggets, who was dealing with a myriad of injuries. And he thought they were a little flat there. Again, this might be the experience of the Nuggets kind of showing itself over the inexperience of the Timberwolves.
Right. You learn how to win in the NBA. Like the great players, LeBron, Michael Jordan, they learned a little later in their 20s. Maybe this is the early 20s LeBron playoff failures. Not really failures. He had a terrible team. But he'll learn how to win these games. I mean, you wasted a 5 for 8 3-point shooting night for Anthony Edwards. If that guy is a 50% three-point shooter, imagine trying to cover him. What do you do? If you close out on him, he's going to fly right by you and finish at the rim. He's spectacular, but it felt like last night he was alone. It really just didn't feel like he had the guys around him. Where in game 1 and game 2, you'd have a big Conley three-pointer. You'd have everybody was hitting. I have a real hard time imagining that's going to happen again. Maybe I'm getting caught up in the moment. I'm one of those guys, I'll be the first to admit it. I think a lot of us are, who watch one NBA playoff game and say, that's how the next one's going to go. And then what happens?
Well, it was impressive what they did, though, to respond in the way that they did. It's funny when you're like watching someone like Mike Conley, who's 36 years old.
Yeah.
And he takes a fall, right? And hits himself on the shoulder. And just as somebody, like, you just feel that more as yourself. Like, so, I'm like, now I'm going to turn 41 this week. I'm like, oh, that's going to hurt. That's just going to be rough. Meanwhile, I have a couple recipes for you on how to prepare Rocky Mountain oysters.
Oh, good.
I think you can smoke them. Perloff will have to eat Rocky Mountain oysters, the bull testicles, if the Nuggets come back and win the series, because I bet the Nuggets. If the Timberwolves win, I have to eat this weird lime jello tuna fish concoction with green olives in it.
Basically looks like if you turn throw up into jello, this is what it would look like. Yeah. I'm being dead serious.
You are, and it's that bad. Here's this one from the Forager Chef. You can smoke these bull's testicles. They say you're going to want the testicles as fresh as possible, but they say frozen is fine too. A quart of water, 90 grams of salt, 2 teaspoons pink curing salt, pickling spice, brown sugar, and bay leaves. And it's like a 5-day thing where you got to smoke.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. We're not going to buy raw Rocky Mountain oysters. We're going to buy them prepared somehow. Where do we get them? Do we have to go to the Rocky Mountains?
Your road trip may have just gotten a little more interesting.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can get them somewhere on the road. We're in New York City. There has to be somewhere to get this.
The fried ones, you're going to want 2 pounds of bull testicles. You can also use calf, lamb, sheep, or turkey. Then salt, vinegar, flour, cornmeal, cup of red wine, maybe not for you, salt, pepper, garlic powder.
Wait, tell me about this turkey. Just turkey?
No, turkey testicles.
Well, what size are those?
I don't know. I never thought about it. There's a lot to do here. Split the skin. Oh, God. This is rough. 855-212-4227. That's back on.
I want to do another bet where you have to eat the lime jello because I've never seen anyone more revolted by a food product in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, EJ, weren't you with me? Did you want to see Maggie try and eat this lime jello?
Look, I was going to be happy regardless of the result with these two.
You're just happy you're not in this bet.
Definitely happy I'm not involved in this bet.
So far.
No, so far, Perloff. I'm not getting involved in this at all. This is one of those things where I'm just rooting for both teams to play hard.
Yeah, right.
That's all I got. Just both teams play hard. Everybody has fun, and it's going to be fun for me at the end of this. So
EJ just watching the games, popcorn, just feet up. Meanwhile, Perloff and I are sweating bullets like we're trying to land a plane. 855-212-4227. Perloff thinks the series is over. Is this series over now that Denver has tied it up at 2? I think the Timberwolves are still alive. Listen, they already won in Denver. They get that. They know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal to lose your 2 home games, though, Maggie. You make it sound like they want to go back to Denver where they're more comfortable, which it seems like. Isn't the old saying that role players play better at home in the playoffs? It seems the exact opposite in this series.
This series is defying all logic. Again, 855-212-4227. You want to watch the show, you're welcome to do it. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. You can download the free Odyssey app. It's crystal clear. We recommend it. Also, SiriusXM channel 158. All right, coming up, we've got a lot from the weekend. We've got football news for you. We've got improbable things we never thought we'd see. All that happened over the weekend. We get to all of it today. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Anthony, did you have any words with Jamal or any of the Nuggets at the end of the game there? Looked like you
Oh
might have
yeah,
been saying
yeah. I just
something.
told his ass, that's what we love that. Keep talking that. That's what we like. Well, I love it, So, he ain't say nothing back, but I'm pretty sure he heard me. They heard me. Yeah, we live for that.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I don't know, this whole Anthony Edwards act, I'm getting a little over it already. I love that player. He's awesome. But now I'm seeing all these quotes and he's like, bring it on. He seems like the perfect player. I don't know. Just go out. Don't say anything if you don't win. Just be like, I'm going to shut up and win. This is terrible. You can't put me in a position, EJ, to rip Anthony Edwards.
What?
You don't have to rip him.
I don't know.
You
Just
could
like
this.
he's so cute and funny and everything he says is perfect.
Cute.
But like if they lose, I'm just really mad because you gave me 44 last night. I need 64 to get out of this thing.
Here's a question though. Do you think it's an act?
No. He's
Okay.
totally genuine. He's awesome. Everything about him is cool. I actually, for some reason, I've seen a lot of videos of his old interviews. He is very consistently like this. There has never been any other Anthony Edwards. He's genuine. I appreciate that. He's funny. And I'm sure he does like the trash talk. But I need to see, he needs to turn into a Michael Jordan killer, right? Where is he on the killer scale is the question. At
Maggie
certain
and
point,
Perloff killer scale.
well, I've heard it as the Kobe Michael scale.
Well,
Kobe being the ultimate
Agree to
killer,
disagree.
and LeBron being the exact opposite side, where LeBron is the big shot early in his career, big shot. I'm going to pass it off to somebody. So I feel like he needs a little more Kobe. Is that fair to say, or am I being totally mean?
that sounds like Kobe, though. You don't think that Kobe, that's how Kobe would respond to losing 2 games at home would be, we'll see your ass.
Well,
in
no.
Denver.
But there was like a little, like you could tell he was smiling in that quote. Like Kobe would have been just mean in that quote, a little meaner.
Is
He's like,
Anthony
I love
Edwards
it.
too nice?
I wonder about that. Is he a little too nice? Does he have that? Can you picture him ripping out your heart and
Yes.
just stomping on it? See,
Yes.
I'm not sure I can see that.
Interesting. All right, let's unpack this here. I do think he has that killer instinct because I'm watching him go downhill and basically fight to the rim and be the most aggressive guy on the court last night. And it feels like that a lot of nights. Friday night was a wash. That game was over, and the Nuggets came out with like a house on fire because they were down 0-2. But last night, I'm watching a guy who actually was physical out there, and I think that he sets the tone now for the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, when it's like he's unflappable. That's how I see it. It's like they just lost 2 games at home, and he's like, we'll see your ass in Denver. Like I like that this has not gotten to him. It doesn't feel like the confidence is wavering at all. And they got to play off this because Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, these are guys who are known to shrink in a big moment.
Well, the thing about Kobe, though, Kobe also got into his teammates' heads a lot. I'm not sure Anthony Edwards at 22 is going to be able to do like Kobe would have. I mean, who knows what he would have said to those guys after the game. He would have chewed them out so hard. I would not want to be a T-Wolf if Kobe was there. I just think Kobe's a different thing. And I don't even think that's – I understand, on the court, he's amazing.
Yeah.
But still to say that you're a Kobe Bryant level winner, that's a high bar for me.
Well, he's not there yet, but you can see the same kind of mentality. I think he does get into the teammates because he'll call them out publicly. I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but he'll say things like Karl Towns knows that he's got to keep scoring. He knows he's got to be aggressive. Like he seems like he does hold them accountable in a way that's not alienating people like Kobe used to do sometimes.
I feel like he's on the LeBron side of the scale.
You mentioned Kobe, 22 years old. I mean, to me, watching that scene of him talking to Jamal Murray to go off the court, it reminded me a lot of 2001 when Allen Iverson dropped 48 on the Lakers, and then the next night when the Lakers won, Kobe Bryant basically going to Allen Iverson and being like, we'll see you in Philly. Like, to me, that kind of young swagger and that young aggression, that's what I saw from Anthony Edwards that did remind me of Kobe Bryant. So I'm surprised that you think the opposite.
Well, Kobe also had Shaq to back him up. Anthony Edwards is kind of out there not by himself. It's a team game, but he's the one who's the only one who can back up these words. Like Shaq could cash a lot of checks that Kobe, wrote.
Well, we'll see how it plays out on the court. If all that's true, then they come out and they are out tough the Nuggets in Game 5. It just feels to me like Denver has figured it out. Regardless of what his mentality is, the Denver's figured out their defensive rotations. Jokic is like, well, I understand now how they're calling this, so I'm going to lead with my elbows. And like, he's strong as all get out.
Yeah.
So he's adjusted to this physical game. And then, I mean, here's the thing. Aaron Gordon's not going to talk about Kobe Bryant. What did Gobert called him Kobe Bryant after the game? He's not going to hit all those jump shots, so the game will be even in that sense. I don't know. You guys, I appreciate the love for Anthony Edwards. He's easily the most exciting player in the NBA right now. But to put him as a Kobe-type killer, I'm not there yet.
Well, he still has a lot to add to the resume. 855-212-4227, maybe another poll question. Does Anthony Edwards come off as a killer? Killer instinct? Or is he more happy-go-lucky kind of guy? I think he's a killer.
I mean, that quote sounded like walking, it's just another game. Talk trash all you want. I'm going to get you on the court. Where Kobe would just, he would have said something really mean. He would have basically said, next question, and he would have Belichicked it up.
Do you guys, has this been happening to you? And I don't want to open up this can of worms again. I'm just curious if this is happening to everyone in the room. Now, every basketball game I'm watching, I'm seeing who would be the best football player on the court.
Apparently Patrick Mahomes is asking the same question.
I know. He said Lou Dort.
Yeah, he's watching Lou Dort. Like,
who said Lou Dort last week's show?
You said Lou Dort, and Mahomes and his wife were courtside for that Mavs OKC game. And now, last night, I was like, man, if who just hit the 10 shots? Aaron Gordon. I'm like, man, if he was just a couple inches shorter, like that would be the guy, because he's like 6'9". If he was like 6'4", he might be my pick.
Shout out to Austin Rivers, man. He's giving people food for thought now for more than a week at this point, it feels like.
I can't think of anything else. Just like, how would Jamal Murray do? And then I'm like looking around. Other guys are like, this guy's way too skinny. Barely can watch the game without thinking about it. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines. Hello.
Guys, good morning. Those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. The Indiana Pacers were not jaking around yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
A 29-7 first quarter run fueled a 28-point halftime lead, which fueled a series-tying 121-89 rout of the Knicks, who I could have sworn had already won the NBA title when they survived the Sixers.
Oh, okay.
Maybe all of New York's injuries are finally catching up to them, but no excuses from Jalen Brunson.
No, we need to stick together. We need to be better, and that's just it going forward.
Brunson scoring just 18 points in 31 minutes on that bad right foot. Tyrese Halliburton led Indy with 20 plus 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Game 5 back at the Garden tomorrow night. Those Nuggets and those T-Wolves returning to Denver for what's now a best 3. Denver at second straight win in Minnesota, 115-107 last night. Nikola Jokic scored 35, but wanted to talk about Aaron Gordon postgame. From him, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks.
He was doing everything, like you said, and he doesn't take credit, but he's a really big factor of us winning championship last year and playing this good this year.
All of that negating those 44 points from Anthony Edwards. Did you really win the draft lottery if there's no one good to pick? The ping pong balls favoring the Hawks yesterday. They win the top pick for the first time in franchise history, despite just 3% odds. Maybe they use it on Alex Sarr, who is playing in Australia right now. And speaking of Australia, in Perth on Saturday, Nina Hughes and Shernika Johnson were boxing for the WBA Women's Bantamweight title. They went the full 10 rounds, leaving ring announcer Dan Hennessy to inform us of the judge's decision.
For your winner by majority decision, and still the WBA Women's Bantamweight World Champion, Nina Hughes.
A lopsided scorecard of 98-92 favors Nina Hughes.
Yeah, the problem is that scorecard was read at 98-92 in favor of Johnson. Hennessy had also said another judge scored in her favor as well. Hence the confusion in the crowd because they didn't think that Hughes was going to keep her belt. So then we got this from Hennessy.
Keeley scores the competition, 96-94. Nakamura, 98-92. For your winner by majority, fighting out of the blue corner.
Is this guy for real? I'm dead. Is this guy Lieutenant Dan Hennessy for real?
So he was
Drinking
wrong.
Hennessy.
Yeah, he was wrong the first time. On the correction, you can't do the home run call again, right?
Okay, there was no acknowledgement that they screwed it up. They announced the wrong winner, and then instead of saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry, there's been an error, they just brought the two women back, grabbed their hands, and held up the other one again like it never happened.
I watched this fight, in which Maggie said, "Why are you watching?"
Like in real time, you watched
yes,
it?
Yes, because I was waiting to see Lomachenko fight. Because when I told Maggie to watch it, she said, "Why are you watching women's bantamweight boxing?" I'm like,
I was watching this live on the phone with my brother. I was like,
yeah,
wait,
I was,
what?
like, look, I was waiting to watch Loma, the lightweight champion. But I watched this live, and I kind of half watching it, and I'm like, wow, that's a weird decision. But because boxing is so corrupt, I was like, well, okay, this is just normal boxing, right? Just give it to the person who's already the champion. Maybe you get a rematch, whatever. I didn't know. And then I hear the guy calling the thing again. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then he calls it for the other woman, and like.
No, you've got to, like, when we had major screw-ups, like at the Oscars, when they said
Right.
La La Land, or when Steve Harvey said the wrong woman won the beauty
Miss-
contest
yeah,
or whatever.
Miss Universe.
Which, by the way, there was a recent emotional sit-down between the two of them. I saw a commercial for it with him tearfully apologizing to her again.
Yeah, let's milk
However
that a
many
little more.
years later we are.
Okay. I think he did it on purpose. But anyway, when you do these kinds of things, you have to at least acknowledge, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a mistake.
My bad.
Crazy. all he did was fight us back to the center of the ring. And I'm like, why are they back to the center of the ring?
Kudos to these two women. They handled this so classy. If this was anyone else, like their corners, everyone handled it with such grace.
The problem
they just got punching each other for an hour, and they got the wrong winner. I'd go bananas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who should feel worse. Hughes, I mean, I guess the woman who won, but like that feeling that Johnson felt probably initially thinking that she won the fight, only to have it go to the winner. But then Hughes to have the championship belt literally put back around your waist, only to say, wait, give me back that belt. We got to do these scores again. Is mind-boggling. Like,
The problem is their brains are so scrambled at this point, they probably don't know.
I mean,
but the
How
problem...
many shots did Hennessy take? They're yelling wrong names.
Good
Well,
grief. What are you getting paid for? I mean, it's like you had one job, dude.
Tessitore on the broadcast said that he had screwed up an earlier announcement as well, where he wasn't reading it in, I guess, the official way you're supposed to read scorecards. So they were like, he was being fast and loose with the rules initially, and it kind of foreshadowed this disaster
Is this guy
of reading,
like
reading the things for this
Is he an
one.
NBA ref that just got like taken out to Australia?
And I felt bad also because I'm watching it and like they had to go back to the guy who had the official scorecards to kind of like say, hey, we promise this isn't rigged. This guy just screwed up.
We promise it's not rigged, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great way to end a fight. If Scott Foster shows up for the rematch, then we know something is really afoot.
Tim Donaghy's going to get into boxing refereeing now.
He's like, oh, that could be no side hustle for me.
I just think the second time around, you got to remove all pizzazz. It's got to be like a Dan Rather straight news read.
Yeah.
You can't go back to the big voice and the normal PA stuff when you're correcting your horrible mistake.
You know, want to know what it reminds me of a little? Like when guys wear those really flamboyant outfits going into the game and then they lose really badly and then they wear the really flamboyant outfit to the post-game press conference. Like, man, you just lost by 40. Maybe take the hat off.
There was one take my brother had I think was smart. This was in Australia, and so that means this fight was happening in the morning. So there could have been a chance that Dan Hennessy was just a little tired, and then he didn't have his coffee. Forget the Hennessy, he didn't have his coffee, and that's why he maybe did the score wrong. Because this is the main event started at like 12:30. This was the undercard, so you're talking about this fight probably ending around 11:30.
Not a morning person?
Probably not. He probably doesn't do many. I mean, how many fight announcers are doing ring announcements at 11 a.m.?
I'm going to be honest, though. This might be the easiest job in America. And the world, rather,
True.
not America. This is the plumbest job you could possibly have. Like Michael Buffer, he gets paid probably 5 figures just to read the card.
Oh, more than that.
You think so?
I think so.
I think
and he's
so,
got
too.
that bad boy copyrighted, so you can't even say it. Like,
and
that's
I wanna-
locked into...
I feel like Dave Marinick somewhere is having a heart attack.
I
We're not
know.
going to say it, we promise, but this is the easiest job. People digging ditches overnight, working the graveyard shift, nurses. I mean, they're really tough jobs. A ring announcer, because you have to get up at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's not an excuse.
Wait, so they fought that in the morning, so it was prime time here?
Yes. Yeah, or you know, whatever, late time in America. But yes, this was, I think the main event again started at 12:30. So this fight started around like 11 a.m.
Breakfast boxing.
It was so
No, thank
bizarre.
you.
It was so bizarre, the whole scene, because I'm just like, this crowd seemed a little weird. Everything seemed weird.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have this event happen.
There you go. And that concludes our women's boxing analysis for
There you go.
the entire
For May
2024.
Thanks, Lieutenant Dan Hennessy.
Yeah.
The Florida Panthers rallying for a 3-2 win in Boston, a 3-1 series lead now on the Bruins. Nashville's up 2-1. Vancouver's up 2-1 on the Oilers after a 4-3 escape from Edmonton. The Mets snapping a 4-game losing streak on Sunday Night Baseball. Brandon Nimmo, a game-ending 2-run homer, bottom 9. They escaped the Braves 4-3. And Rory McIlroy began yesterday 1 shot behind Xander Schauffele. He then shot a 65 to win by 5 strokes, his 4th career victory at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Or should I say Bogusch? Appreciate that. Coming up, we've got some more details on a serious story concerning the defending Super Bowl champions. Get to that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Trouble for the defending Super Bowl champions. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Infinity Sports Network. So we already know that wide receiver Rashee Rice, Perloff, is going to be in a bit of trouble because of the drag racing car accident that he and some friends caused, what was that, 2 months ago? Then there was a story about Rice getting into it with a photographer at a nightclub. And so we're waiting to see what that investigation brings. Not sure if that's going to be criminal charges, civil charges. We have no idea if there's going to be any charges. There might not be anything. And now what you're getting is the "oh, now you tell me," which is, it turns out there were some issues, that red flags, if you will, that came up when Rashee Rice was going to be drafted out of SMU. And a story that has come to the surface now where a basketball player at SMU may have been dating his girlfriend, or he thought was dating his girlfriend. And they believe that, I don't know if it was proven, but they believe that either Rice or an associate of Rice's, a friend of Rice's, shot bullets into the guy's empty car. Kind of like send a message, which is quite the message. Obviously. So if that story is true, now these sort of things are coming out. And the Chiefs have never shied away, and Andy Reid maybe specifically has never shied away about taking a flyer on someone who has the quote-unquote character issues.
Well, it strikes me is the Chiefs had a terrible incident, a suicide in their facility, actually in a car, right? Javon Belcher.
Yeah.
Then they draft Tyreek Hill in the 5th round when nobody would touch him out of college. And then they draft this guy in the 2nd round when it sounds like many teams had a red flag on him. So, and this is, to me, a Bill Belichick philosophy. That's a way to get draft value. When you're too good and you can't get high up in the 1st round, you have to get guys who fall because of character issues. It reminds me, the Steelers do it. The Steelers took Antonio Brown. Sure. They took George Pickens, who everyone said, oh, red flag guy. I don't even remember what the Pickens issue is. So it does seem like it seems callous and terrible to say, but a great way to get a draft value is to take a guy with red flags and hope it works out.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. That's hope it works out, or hope that you have enough like structure or good enough culture in your building that it sort of forces guys to, you know, kind of fall in line, go in the straight and narrow, maybe make some changes in their life. Everyone has the opportunity to grow and mature. And here's the thing. Rashee Rice definitely helped the Chiefs win a Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
Kadarius Toney was another red flag guy who helped them win a Super Bowl the year before. But now you're talking about the stakes getting higher, as they always do, when you're going through for a three-peat, which is so incredibly hard. It's impossible. It's so hard. And the receiving core was the issue last year. They had to completely change the way they played, and Mahomes had to overcome so much. Kelsey's getting older. I mean, you can't afford to have these guys who are stepping out now or out of line, because Rashee Rice is going to miss a significant amount of games this year.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we think? 6, maybe 7? It's not
maybe
nothing.
Well, James Palmer, former NFL Network, reported more than half the season.
Jeez.
And that was before the fight with the photographer. They did put a heavy investment in wide receiver, with Texas receiver Xavier Worthy in the 1st round. They traded up with your Buffalo Bills. So that, I think, is their answer to that. They have some issues on the O-line, but you say there's pressure on them, and there is, but they're bigger favorites this year than they were last year, because this is, you know, they still have Kelsey, they still have Mahomes, and all their young defensive guys are getting older. I know they lost L'Jarius Sneed, but Karlaftis and McDuffie, those guys are hitting their prime. So the amazing thing about the Chiefs is they completely redefined their team. Now they're a defense run team with Mahomes saving your butt at the end. It is a formula that's working. So I don't know. To me, they're not really any less of a favorite. It's hard to three-beat. I don't think they will, But you look at it on paper, yeah, they're the best team in the NFL.
Here's a question. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. If they do not pull off the three-peat, will it be a disappointment? I mean, you have an all-time quarterback, and not the same as Brady. You know, Mahomes and Brady are just so different. You know, and even those Patriots teams, when they're going for history, I don't know. Just Mahomes is the ultimate tilts the field, and I know Brady did too, but Mahomes does it in a different way. You know. Man, if they do, you have everything set up. You've got the quarterback, you've got the coach, the defense, as you said. You get to keep Steve Spagnuolo, your defensive coordinator. It seems like you're making the investments in all the right places. You got this great general manager. Would it be a disappointment if they don't three-peat, considering how things are set up?
Yeah, it's interesting. Can you say that they're the favorite to win it? Like, if I had to pick a team right now. And it would not be a disappointment because everyone knows the NFL is such a fine line between the favorite and the next. It would not be a disappointment to me if they didn't repeat. How can you disappoint a team that has won two? How can you be disappointed in a team that has won 2 Super Bowls? It's such a parity league to even achieve what they've achieved so far.
Well,
is
they've won 3, but 2 back-to-back.
Right, 2 back-to-back. I mean, to win 3, that's too high a bar to say disappointment. Okay. I would not say disappointment. I think they are the favorites, but to me, it would not be disappointing if they lost because, come on, a 3-peat never happened. It's never happened. And they're not that much better than any other team. I mean, they've needed a lot of close games to win these last 2 Super Bowls and the other Super Bowl as well. I mean, they needed everything they had. They needed basically Kyle Shanahan to pick wrong at overtime.
2 different Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean,
they needed Kyle Shanahan in the fourth quarter and the overtime.
It's such a thin line, Maggie. I mean, they can be the best team and not be disappointing to me. I know that sounds like a little bit hypocritical, but come on, how can you be disappointed in them?
Well, you know, disappointed might be the strong word, but again, you are going for something here that is historic, and you have the historic quarterback to do it. I mean, how many times have we learned that besides Kelsey, does it even matter who the wide receivers are? I mean, Mahomes makes up for so much. Yep. And Kelsey, listen, we'll see, was he going to be 35, I believe? 35 tight end body? Well, I mean,
that's the thing. You got to win this. This might be Kelsey's last year, so that's the other issue that's kind of on their radar for the Chiefs is what if we lose Kelsey? But I forgot they brought in Hollywood Brown this year too. So they're putting a lot of money into wide receiver.
Well, I mean, Hollywood Brown. That's a guy that's going to look awesome with the Chiefs.
They're paying him, exactly. They're paying him a good amount of money. They've actually had trouble bringing in the speed guys. That has not worked out well. We talked about this last week. McCole Hardman, MVS, not so great. To me, you look at the names on defense. Remember Drew Tranquill and Nick Bolton last year? Like all of a sudden, these linebackers are all over the place. Spagnuolo they didn't lose him in the offseason. That's another thing. I think they actually, despite this Rashee Rice drama and losing Snead, have not had a bad offseason.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, again, I think they are literally the Vegas favorites, prohibitive favorites. And you look around at the rest of the AFC and like who would be standing in their way. And there's a lot of great options here. And I always thought the Bengals would be the one because they've shown that they can win in Arrowhead in these big games. But every one of those AFC teams also has their flaws. You know, like Lamar Jackson can't get over the hump in the postseason. Josh Allen can't get over the hump. We'll see what happens with, Jim Harbaugh and the Justin Herbert combination. You think that's going to take a couple of years, actually, to get their feet under him. CJ Stroud is still going into year 2. I understand that he is put together an all-time rookie season, and he seems like he's got his head on straight. Great guy, the type of leader you want. You get defensive head coach. But still, that's all a year 2 situation. We have to give it a little bit more time. Again, Burrow has not finished the last 2 out of 4 seasons healthy. Deshaun Watson has yet to show. I mean, I can pick out flaws on all of these AFC teams.
So what? What about the NFC? They have to face another team once they get the Super Bowl. They have won by the narrowest possible margins. Basically, just a little bit of jersey, and I'm going to bring up what happened in Glendale. Just a little bit of jersey, and they called pass interference. I mean, he barely touched the guy, and it was pass interference.
It took Tom Brady to beat him. Tom Brady in Tampa in an all-time revenge season.
Either they easily could have lost all 3 Super Bowls that they won. They easily could have lost. But honestly, Kyle Shanahan somewhat handed them 2 of them.
I know. Well, there should be a lot of pressure on Shanahan. That'll be for a different segment.
It is a fine line. It kind of reminds me of Bill Russell's Celtics, right? They won how many titles did they win? 10 or 11? Yeah, and and then you see the results. Like they always won in like 6 or 7 games, and by the narrowest of margins toward the end. I don't think it's going to be that easy. And even if they get out of the AFC, you discount my NFC. There's going to be a great team coming out of the NFC. There's a lot going on here. Yes, I understand what you're saying. There are definitely a lot of flawed contenders in the AFC, and everyone's scared of Andy Reid when it comes down to it.
Definitely.
But, I mean, come on. I mean, how many little miracles are going to have, Maggie? The luck has to run out at some point.
It's not luck. They're just that good. It's just Mahomes. So it's so funny. We're talking about the Chiefs and Rashee Rice's issues and how many games he might miss and whether the Chiefs should be the prohibitive favorite going into the season. It's funny. We talk about like the AFC is so tough. And it's like, yeah, as a whole, it's like this juggernaut is boogeyman. But then you go in and strategically start slicing up every one of those teams, and you find the flaws that the Chiefs have shown you they can overcome. It's not that the Chiefs don't have flaws. Of course they do. We talked about the receiving core last year, all the drops, how they couldn't come through in big moments in the regular season. But then we watched them overcome it on the road, taking out contender after contender after contender, doing it in a different way. It's just they're just different than every other team.
They're also going to have a benefit, I think. While I'm not sold on the Chiefs in terms of winning the championship or coming out of the AFC, they're playing in a division that is under so much turmoil right now. Chargers have a new coach ushering in really a new offense, basically, in terms of the skill players being totally different, offensive line being totally different. So there's a learning curve there. You got the Raiders, new quarterback, new-ish coach, a lot of turnover.
Raiders have no
turmoil.
quarterback, not new quarterback.
Maybe, no quarterback here in theory. If you talk about Gardner Minshew. And then you got the Broncos ushering in a rookie quarterback. Like, this Rashee Rice suspension is bad. But I feel like if there's any team that can kind of start like 5-4 and kind of figure their way out through the first 10 games, if Rashee Rice is out for that amount of time, the Chiefs won't be in a position where they're going to be down 2, 3, 4 games in the division. They're going to be still right. They might still be in first place in that situation.
But by the way, too, it's not like Rashee Rice is. They're going to be 5-4 without Rashee Rice. That sounds a little.
Well, yeah,
but
but the schedule is not that hard. They're like 16th, I think, in total strength of schedule.
Right. I mean, also, too, I don't think Rice is that impactful. I don't think all of a sudden Rashee Rice is irreplaceable because they keep replacing these receivers. The one kryptonite they have is, I think, in the Super Bowl with the Bucs when their left tackle and right tackle got hurt and they had Mike Remmers out there. You know, that is the kryptonite. If you can pressure Mahomes, then it doesn't matter who's your receiver. So that's, to me, the issue is the O-line staying healthy and injuries, too. And obviously, Mahomes is a guy who's gotten injured, too.
But
it's
he
amazing.
still plays.
I know.
It doesn't matter.
You're right. He missed that Cleveland playoff game, and Chad Henne had to jump in there.
I mean, they basically tried to hold him out when he got hurt against Jacksonville, and we saw the tape, and he was like, I will fight you to get back in the game.
Dude was limping at halftime of the Super Bowl against the Eagles. I thought that he was done. You're right. He is pretty tough. But, I mean, there are a lot of things have to go right. They're pretty healthy last year. I mean, that's the issue. That's what happens in the NFL.
When we're talking about the Chiefs, would it be disappointing if they don't three-peat, just considering what they have and how much they've overcome? If you want to watch the show, this is how you do it. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. If you're there, if you have not hit subscribe, please do so. It's so easy. Just hit that click. Just hit subscribe, and it really does help us out. Charlie Chips is in the chat. He said, the Chiefs are the new Roger Federer. You're already beat mentally before you play.
Definitely.
I appreciate that as a tennis fan. Also, he says, or maybe this is a she, Chiefs are a protected species like Brady. That's another part of this, too, which is to beat the champ, you got to beat the brakes off them. You know, you're not going to get the foul, like your, Eagles Perloff, and you mentioned that about the James Bradbury, defensive holding call. It was the right call. I hated that the officials made it in the moment. I'm not saying they handed the Chiefs the Super Bowl, but I don't know if the Chiefs, if it's on the other foot, are the Chiefs getting called? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think so. Let me ask you guys a character question. Do you hold against a team, or should we hold against a team when they draft a guy who has red flags and then get 3 years or whatever, get whatever production they can out of him, then he just goes off the rails? Like, is that a sound team-building strategy? Because I hate to say it, it seems like it could be in certain situations. The teams that seem to do it are the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Steelers. I mean, that's the creme de la creme. I think that maybe we overestimate the narrative of character when the reality is these great teams, these guys are chess pieces. And maybe you get some value, but you're not going to get a top 10 pick. So you got to get the guy who falls. It kind of stinks, but I think that's the way it works.
Well, you mentioned three teams that are kind of synonymous now with winning. Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, and then the Patriots. There are a lot of teams who take flyers on character guys, and it doesn't work, like the Raiders and others. So
Well, I mean, yeah, but nobody was taking Aaron Hernandez except the Patriots. And it feels like, and then they took some other guys too. I don't have the names in front of me, guys who like nobody would touch. There's one, well, anyway.
I mean, Aaron Hernandez is a big one. And that had a tragic ending.
They didn't win any titles with Aaron
They
Hernandez.
never won a title with him. But they were
great, though.
They were great teams.
I think it depends on the team. I think that if you have the infrastructure to keep that guy somewhat in line for the short amount of time you can, maybe that's fine. I think we've seen teams like the Raiders really struggle with that. I think we've seen teams like the Bengals win some games but struggle with that and eventually not be able to give it a hump because they don't have the right character guys in the locker room. If you have Bill Belichick and you got Andy Reid and you got Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, yeah, it looks really good. I think if you got, whoever's playing quarterback for the Raiders and, Tom Cable is your coach, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
And we've seen how it can go both ways. It's tough.
855-212-4227. If the Chiefs do not three-peat, would you be disappointed? I mean, we're living in the Chiefs world. This is like an all-time run that they're on right now.
Yeah, I mean, but the NFL, you know how the NFL is. Every defensive coordinator, every offensive coordinator is sitting they have a target on their back, and everyone's coming after them. You have seen the teams that figure out how to slow down the Chiefs. Then the Chiefs zagged, and we're like, oh, we're going to be awesome at running the ball, and we're going to be incredible on defense. Did anybody see that coming?
I always wonder, like, if you gave Andy Reid true serum, do you think he knew Isaiah Pacheco was going to be this, like, weapon? The 7th round pick out of Rutgers?
No.
You really knew you're going to run the offense through this guy in multiple playoff games?
No chance.
Know.
No
Right?
chance.
It's like Belichick with Brady. He had no clue. He didn't know how that was going to turn out.
Well, the funny thing is, if you think of Andy Reid in Philly, like for many years, Jim Johnson, their defense coordinator, saved his bacon. And now it's Spagnuolo, who's a Jim Johnson acolyte, is the man.
Yep.
They should have, to be fair, somebody should have hired Spagnuolo. That would have been helpful
I know.
to the rest of the NFL.
Awful head coach when he was with the Rams, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, even out the odds. Take that guy off the Chiefs.
Yeah, fair. Coming up next, I'm sorry, the Lakers are intrigued by who for their next head coach? Get to that next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
LeBron and the Lakers need a new head coach, and now got some reporting, Perloff, on who the Lakers are intrigued by. And it's the one and only JJ Redick. Intrigued. This is Woj saying that the Lakers are intrigued means one of two things. Either this is happening and he's just far down the line and it's only a matter of time till we get, sources say this is imminent or whatever Woj uses this language, or he's trying to put over an ESPN colleague. And I have the feeling that it's the first option and that they really are intrigued because a couple things. I don't think the Lakers have any good ideas on who should coach this team. And I know Pete Bellotti is not a fan. But JJ Redick is not a terrible option here. Not a terrible option. You've got a guy who's definitely smart, even if he thinks he's the smartest person in the room and wants to tell you that. He might be. So he's smart. He's got that sort of, his NBA career was shocking how long it was. For the guy who does not have the physical gifts of JJ Redick, he really made a nice career for himself playing for like 11 years in the NBA. He's kind of got that backup quarterback kind of thing going on where he was never the star on his NBA team. Sure, he was a star in college, but he was never a star on his NBA team. So he really had to learn the ins and outs of multiple teams, multiple coaching staffs, always had to evolve and do a lot to survive in the league. Again, the sort of backup quarterback vibe. And clearly he's a good communicator. He's got 2 different podcasts. He's the lead analyst right now on ESPN. He can get these complex basketball, themes across to the general public. So why not to fellow basketball players?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, because we all know the ability to podcast and NBA coaching are very similar. That's why Big Cat's taking over the Bulls next year. And Zach Lowe is the new GM. Well, actually, Zach Lowe probably could be a GM.
Yeah. Bill Simmons is the next Celtics head coach. Why not? We're like one step away from that happening. Why not JJ Redick?
JJ Redick might be fine, but You forget where he's going. The Lakers are a very, very tough spot. You would need Phil Jackson combined with Red Auerbach combined with Nick Nurse to have any chance to resurrect this team. They're in such a tough spot. So what are you doing to poor JJ Redick? You're setting him up to fail. And why would LeBron James listen to JJ Redick if he hand chose him? You don't want a LeBron guy, and clearly with the fact that they do a podcast together, he's a LeBron guy. That's not what you need here. You need somebody who's going to have a radical solution to the fact that they are undermanned in this Western Conference. And JJ Redick, I've heard a lot of him. Yeah, he's a very good basketball analyst, but does that mean he's got some magic cure for the fact that the Lakers are very old and probably a little less talented, especially after you get beyond LeBron and AD? There's no way JJ Redick can do this. He has no chance whatsoever.
Listen, fresh eyes, fresh point of view. As far as like holding LeBron accountable, I think we're pretty much way past that. First of all, I don't think you have to hold him accountable. Number one, I do think LeBron's one of the smartest players in the league. And whether this was going to be Kareem at the end of his career, LeBron, Jordan at the end, no coach is going to come in and start being a hard ass on one of these guys who's become a legend in the league, who's played all this time. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I've thrown that out the window. LeBron is kind of a de facto coach here, and he and Redick can kind of do this together while Redick sort of figures out how to and learns how to be a coach on the fly. Because, yeah, he doesn't have experience. He coached, what, a 10-year-old like travel team or something? I don't know. He's going to have to rely on his guts and guile, the being a smart basketball person, and then hopefully being a good communicator. As far as motivator, I don't know if he's a good motivator. I'll have to work on that.
It feels like if LeBron re-signs with the Lakers and they hire JJ Redick, it feels like they're not serious about winning a title. Like, this experiment is coming to its logical end, which is an entertainment product, sort of a multimedia. It's a team, but they're also a podcast company, and maybe they'll do a movie together. Maybe
also, they're drafting Bronny James. Like, clearly this thing is a little bit wonky.
You know what? You might as well bring in JJ. He fits in perfectly with this mode. He's an entertainer right now. So basically you have the real contenders, and you have the Lakers are this entertainment product who just wants to put out a playoff level team. You know, they're going to be close. They've been having to fight into the playoffs play-in, but there's no reason. I mean, there's no reason to take them seriously as a contender if they do this move and they don't find some miracle way to bring in more talent.
Listen, keeping LeBron James happy is clearly the number one priority for this Lakers team. They said that they would draft Bronny. They want to give him the max contract extension. This is all about him. So to then say, all right, we're going to give LeBron everything he wants, but then for coach, we're going to go with Kenny Atkinson or another assistant coach. And then you're going to start off already on a foot where LeBron's maybe skeptical or not. You want LeBron to have as much buy-in on this coach as humanly possible. That's how you keep him around. That's how the accountability gets weaved through the organization. Brian Windhorst, who's been covering LeBron since he was basically in diapers, said couple weeks ago that LeBron never has a say in who gets hired as the head coach. And I thought, if that's true, it's so unfathomably stupid, because LeBron definitely has a say in who gets fired as the head coach and whether or not that coach survives. So just give LeBron what he wants. Give him say over who the coach is, and let's see if that works.
Yeah, no, definitely. The history of the NBA is just littered with players picking the right coaches to win championships. It's actually only 180 degrees the opposite of that. You would never let a player, I don't believe this is true, that LeBron never had any coach. That's the most brilliant thing LeBron has ever done in his career, is to not try to have input there. We know great players are terrible personnel guys and probably couldn't pick a coach. I mean, Michael Jordan, for all his brilliance, he just had terrible ideas of who was good at basketball around him. I mean,
Phil Jackson wasn't bad.
He wanted Walter Davis, the Bulls, to pay him millions towards the end of his career. And I don't think he picked him. Phil Jackson just happened to be there once he got the other guys out of the way. So LeBron should not be choosing a coach, and it's not going to work. I'm going to give you a preview of the Lakers with JJ Redick.
Okay.
There's just no way he's going to be able to pull this all together. So it's going to be nice. Maybe they'll be in the play-in. We'll watch him. It's going to be fun to see LeBron set every record for a 40-plus-year-old in the history of the NBA. But it's not going to end up anywhere near a title.
Okay, so here's the other thing. We're talking about JJ Redick to be the next Lakers head coach. Woj is reporting that the Lakers are intrigued by this. Now, maybe that's coming from JJ's side of it. Maybe it's coming from LeBron's side of it, because there's not really another awesome option here. You know, Mike Budenholzer just got hired by the Phoenix Suns, and they gave him a ton of money for a 5-year deal. You have the Kenny Atkinson sort of retread, guys who are known for developing good talent. Well, that's not really where the Lakers are. The Lakers aren't in development mode. They're in a win mode. And I still think having someone with experience would clearly be the better option here. But it's not so crazy to me that they would just go with Redick to try to make LeBron happy. Again, are they going to go with another like Darvin Ham type, a guy who's sort of been toiling as an assistant and then finally gets a shot? The Lakers are going to be unconventional here on this one, and it might make them look a bit like a joke, but if it makes LeBron happy and if it leads to wins, then nobody's ever going to think twice about it.
But you know one example, though, that would scare me if I was going to hire JJ Redick if I was the Los Angeles Lakers? Steve Nash in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Because that is the example of, okay, you know what? Let's let the star players pick whoever they want. They're going to pick a complete novice, a guy that's never coached in the NBA in any reasonable way. And it's okay because you know why? The stars will help the kind of coach come along. And what we see is when you get to playoff basketball and it gets really nip and tuck and these games are super tough, you need a guy who can make the big decisions when it comes down to it. It's not going to be LeBron James or Kevin Durant. It's going to be the head coach. And Steve Nash, he cost the Nets probably a title when they hired him. So going to JJ Redick here, I think that's a risk. It's a major risk for a guy who's never coached before.
Oh, I get it, but
wait.
Here's the thing about Steve Nash. Steve Nash took over the Brooklyn Nets. You say he cost him a title. Steve Nash, I can't think of a collection of more odd-suited personalities than Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving all on the same team. Because what's weird about that is Durant's clearly the best player there, but he's not the alpha. And we all know this, right? So he's the best player, but he's not the vocal guy. Then you have Kyrie he's kind of weirdly was like the leader there, but then he was hurt in and out of the lineup. And then you have James Harden, mercenary, who comes over, and I couldn't figure out James Harden's personality behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. I have no idea. Guys say he's a great teammate. I think it's because he takes everyone to the club. I have no clue whose jersey has, been retired multiple strip clubs in Houston. That was such a weird collection of personalities.
No.
I don't know if any coach could have navigated those egos. Yes.
No, it doesn't. You have James Harden in that formula. There's no way you're winning an NBA title with James Harden on your roster, or let alone on the court. Unless Harden got hurt somehow. There's just
he did.
He get hurt.
Then he had to play through it.
But in the play, like honestly, if Kyrie and Katie were healthy and maybe the East had just had a million injuries, there's no way that crew of three players was going to win.
Steve Nash definitely made coaching errors in that series against the Bucks that allowed them to come back in that series. There's no question about that.
Oh, the guy, he didn't know when to call a timeout. There was definitely stuff with that.
The Bucks and Jason Kidd
also screwed up too.
It was 1-on-5 that series.
So here's a question for you. Let's not to fast forward this story a little bit. Let's just say JJ Redick does get hired as the Lakers head coach. How long do you think he actually would have this job?
I don't know.
Does he make it two full seasons? Does he make it 2 full seasons?
It's a Byron Scott situation where you think you're coaching LeBron, then LeBron leaves or retires. So, no, it doesn't have a long... And I want to put in a request in advance. Do we have to talk about the Lakers all the time if JJ Redick goes there? Because they're not winning anything.
Does he continue to do the podcasts if he's still the coach? I think that's a yes.
I think they spend more time because they're together.
No, honestly. Draymond Green still does his podcast. And he's like, playing.
Yeah, LeBron and JJ and red wine. They're going to need a lot of red wine when they're the 8th seed in the play-in. And like, oh my gosh, maybe if we somehow get out of the play-in, we're going to get slaughtered by the Thunder next year. That's what we're talking about here. They're a mediocre team. And honestly, if I'm JJ, I might even stay away because of what you just said. Like, how long is this going to last? What's the upside? Where are you going with this?
Well, I mean, you want to be a coach. Clearly, he does. He interviewed for the Raptors job. He interviewed for Charlotte. We're talking about JJ Redick now. According to Woj, the Lakers are intrigued. That's the term that he used by JJ Redick. I imagine Redick as the head coach of the Lakers taking an expensive bottle of like red wine that's like half drank and like pulling the cork out with his teeth and then just swinging it right from the bottle. They mentioned Ty Lue, who's just not available right now. He is the head coach of the Clippers, and I don't know why that would change. Ty Lue would want to go back and coach LeBron James. Does anyone remember the last time he was the coach? Yes, they won a title and came back 3-1 against the Warriors. He also put himself in the hospital with like exhaustion and stress and had to miss like half of a season because of health issues.
Absolutely. It feels like there's a new generation of coaches, too, that are on a different wavelength than the old coaches. Like, it feels like there's Mike Malone in Denver and Finch and Daignault. Like, there's definitely like we're in a I don't know how you describe these coaches, but we're in sort of a glorious time for the X's and O's nerds. Like I don't know if these guys are big personalities or how they're doing it, but they
Joe
seem
Mazzulla.
Yeah, they see. Well, Missoula has a lot to prove, but it feels like they're not doing it in like they're not the old classic rah-rah coach. They're more like smarter, like Nick Nurse. Feels like they're just going to outthink the other coach. Maybe otherwise, like, why is Chris Finch so effective with the T-Wolves? I'm not quite sure what they got, but whatever that is, JJ Redick seems more of a personality coach. Can he hang with Mike Malone and all these guys who have all this experience? Seems unlikely to me.
Well, he would probably look at his own coaching, his own playing journey and be like, look who I got to learn from. I got to learn from Coach K, and I got to learn from Doc Rivers, and I got to learn from...
And his rise as a personality is being the intellectual, being that I have the data, I have the analytics. Here's what teams are trying to do in X's and O's wise, which is why this is going to be so fascinating. Because we're about to see really quick if we could separate, the kind of the amateur people who know what they're talking about from the real killers, so to speak. Because JJ Redick has been going around for 2 years being like, I'm the smartest guy in the room when it comes to basketball. Now he's going up against real Einstein-level basketball minds.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to see really fast. And he has LeBron James on his side. So if he can't figure this out with LeBron James, I think he may be like Steve Nash. I don't know if he'll ever get another head coaching job again. I would not take this job if I was him. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. I agree with you.
In the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, where Wronger says, give him the job, then the podcast will end. Pete, are you posing as Wronger in the chat? That feels like something that you would want.
No, it's logical that the podcast would end, especially he's a head coach. If I'm the Lakers, I would not allow it. I would not allow him to be on a podcast while he's coaching
Lakers love
the Lakers.
headlines, though. They love... it's the Lakers.
Well, then what are we doing here?
Glitz and glam.
Like what we said. Are we being an entertainment product, or are we being a basketball organization? If they want to be a basketball organization, what they should really do is pull the Band-Aid off and rebuild it.
Well,
and
they're too
that's what they
invested
should
right
do.
now.
I think they'd rather have 2 more years of relevancy
Yep.
to be at least a playoff level team. I don't think, and I don't disagree with that. If you have LeBron James and you're selling out every arena, I mean, you can't say no to that as an owner, can you? Can you say no LeBron?
You're so far down the line on LeBron. We saw what they did with Kobe, where they gave him basically 2 extra years. Thanks for the memories. And Kobe did a lot more for them than LeBron has. And I think you just get this sort of, all right, no one can ever accuse us of saying we didn't try to get every ounce out of the end of LeBron James. I think that's what it is. 855-212-4227. Are you intrigued by JJ Redick to the Lakers? Listen, don't worry about JJ Redick. Like, he'll be fine. You're saying don't take the job. What does it matter? He could flame out at the Lakers. He'd go right back to the 2 podcasts. He'd go right back to ESPN. He'd go right back to whatever. I'm not shedding any tears for JJ.
Yeah, but look at Steve Nash. I mean, that was not good. His reputation got destroyed by what happened with the Nets.
But if he had been a broadcaster before, he could have always gone back to that.
I'm sure he could broadcast too.
I guess my thing is, if JJ wants to be a head coach, like if this is what he sees his next career as, then he should not take this job. Now, if he's like, hey, why not? Like, I'm a hot name, I get to coach the Lakers, live in LA for 2 or 3 years, then by all means, you like the weather, the money, and the glance and glamour, then go ahead. But
he's
just
doing
know,
it for content.
He's definitely probably doing it for content. But just know, every coach that gets linked to LeBron, unless you're Eric Spoelstra or Lou, you're going to be the fall guy. You're going to be the guy that's going to get blamed. You're going to be the guy that's going to be tarred and feathered and taken out of the arena, basically in handcuffs, basically the way the Laker fans treat the coaches that have coached them over the last few years. It doesn't matter if you win a title. Vogel won a title, and they couldn't stand him. So this is not something I would envy for any young coach, especially someone like JJ.
I mean, honestly, this is Mark Daigneault's league. And when I say that, somebody that Lotti's never heard of coaching in the finals, there are all these random dudes on the sideline. And the less I've heard of an assistant coach who gets a head coaching job, the more intrigued I am by him. I mean, this guy that the Hornets got, we can't even remember his first name, Charles Lee. That dude's got the goods.
It's just funny. It's like, if you're not good enough to coach the Raptors and the Hornets, yet here, step on up to the Lakers. We'd love to have you. 855-212-4227. Coming up, Urban Meyer calling out the state of college football. What? Is he right, though? We'll get to him next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. So Maggie, I had some downtime this weekend, driving the kids around to swim meets and such. So I decided to take it a little baseball, as one does on a beautiful spring weekend. went to a Little League field in Long Island where I saw the Nassau Bolts take on the South Shore Sluggers. I can't remember what.
Chiefs. South Shore Chiefs.
So I saw Andrew Bogusch's son play Little League baseball.
Whoa,
yeah, it was so cool.
You were jaking it on a Saturday park.
Love Jake Bogusch. Wait, big Bills fan like myself. So you were out already going to your daughter's swim meet.
Yeah, and I wasn't.
You don't just
I
drop
could,
by local Little Leagues and not get you in trouble.
I couldn't go into the swim meet because it was in the auxiliary pool and there's no stands there. So I had 3 hours to kill. And I was like, oh, this
lucky
is
you.
right by Bogusch's house. So I'm like, why don't I come over? He's like, well, we're out at the Little League baseball. I was
You
like,
just
I'll come watch
invited yourself over to Bogusch's house.
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so I got to watch this baseball game. And I got to tell you, it wasn't the fielding errors where like a ball would go through the glove that bothered me. It was the lack of sound defensive principles, like hitting the cutoff man, calling a fly ball. Like there was a grounder to first and nobody knew what to do. There was basically...
Wait a minute. Bogusch is the coach.
No. Bogusch was keeping score.
Yeah, this was actually travel baseball, which is supposed to be better than Little League baseball, so I am not the coach of that team.
Oh, I was going to say, if you got an issue with the defensive alignment, you got Skip right here. You can hold his feet to the
No
front.
shrapnel for me.
Yeah, it was a tough game. I think the other team had to be tested for PEDs. They were 10-year-olds. There were several mustaches. One guy was built like Juan Soto. And just like it was crazy. It was a tough game to watch. I mean, this is a fair stuff. But you have to admit, there were some structural problems with the defense on Saturday.
Let me just say that I thought there was a 0% chance that you were going to stumble into this field.
Yeah, why did you not believe that?
Why would I believe that you were going to drive 20 minutes farther out of your way to come watch the Chiefs and the Bolts do battle?
Well, you're saying if it was a better matchup, then you would have believed that I would have come? I didn't know it was going to be a blowout.
Me neither. Did not. The first
you
game,
did not know that?
Well, the first game we lost in respectable fashion. We had like a 3-hour gap in between. So took the kids to a diner, which was apparently the mistake.
Yeah,
everyone a little sluggish.
Yeah, and
milkshakes were milkshakes involved? Or?
No, they were not milkshakes, but there were pancakes and waffles and syrup and like just 12, 10-year-olds at a diner sitting at their own table. So there was like giddiness. They were making concoctions, spilling salt, dumping ketchup here. So we got back to the field and they had nothing.
Carnage.
They had nothing for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
we had nothing.
Once that maple syrup rush wears off, you're just dead.
Yeah,
yeah. What about the fact that like calling, I got it, and like hitting the cutoff man? Is that not a thing that the Nassau Bolts are so interested in?
No, I've been to, even though I'm not a coach, I have been to practices, and those things are discussed and talked about. I've also, my boy dropped the fly ball, an easy one in left field. He normally knows how to catch.
That's
in that
fine.
moment,
I have no problem with that.
Blame it
I
on
had
the
a problem with
maple
that one.
syrup.
Yeah.
I mean, or something.
Or they were nervous because McLovin was there. I don't know. Didn't want to bring it up, but
They're
maybe
Patrick fans?
Big celeb.
No,
Listen,
no.
everyone knows Perloff wherever we go.
Is that the guy from the movie with Anthony Edwards? It is.
Why did you think? First of all, why did you think I would show up? I'm just curious. What else was I doing? I told you I had the swim meet that was 15 minutes away from you.
Right, but we also had a very long conversation of you and another girl's family sometimes splits the duties.
Well,
we weren't
right.
sure if you were going to drop the kids off and they were going to pick them up, or you were going to handle Saturday and they were going to handle Sunday. So and you don't like me, so I was not sure if you were going to come.
So
or
I
not.
think this is the issue.
fair.
You really think I don't like you?
I don't think you like me enough to drive to watch my son play 10U travel
now
baseball.
you know.
Well,
now I
you
do.
know.
So I thought the best thing to come out of this was not just Perloff basically calling out the Bolts for their bad defense. A bunch of 10-year-olds, Perloff. Jeez. But
No, they actually deserve it in that.
They totally deserve it. You had to be there, Maggie. Like, I'm being gentle on them. I really wanted to come in Monday morning and kill the Bolts.
I was keeping score. I was doing the book, and there were back-to-back innings where the other team batted around, and I just didn't have any places anymore to write down what they were doing.
No.
I had to go around to the other side and be like, hey, guys, can I see your book? I think I missed something among the bloodstains.
Was it a mercy rule?
It was a mercy rule. So I had to explain that to Perloff as well.
Oh,
the
boy.
coach came over one point and the score was 8-0, and asked Andrew, "What's
good
the
old
score?"
days of
And
8-0.
Andrew goes, "It's 8-0." He goes, darn it, I thought it was 7. I was like, that's your best strategy? Is to shave a runoff here and there?
Just faulty bookkeeping is
7
the only
was
prayer.
doable. 8 out
That
of
cracked me up
our
when the
reach.
manager's like, man, I thought it was 7.
Oh boy.
But wait.
Listen,
we're friends. Oh, then the photo.
Knicks
You
will
love the
tell
photo.
The Knicks will tell you, as the Timberwolves will tell you.
Yep.
Sometimes you get blown out. Doesn't mean the series
Loss is a loss.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the season's over. Now, what really came out of this was a picture of Perloff in your car with Bogusch riding shotgun, and that is what is most important to the show. No offense to the Bolts.
Yeah.
Because Perloff has to pay off the bet of driving to San Antonio to apologize to Wemby. Bogusch offered to go. You said no. It's devolved from there. And now I'm seeing Bogusch riding shotgun.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I can envision it. Now I saw what you guys would look like on
I
the
hadn't
road.
been this excited about a social media post since Kendrick's first social media diss to Drake. I was
Same.
I popped so hard when I saw this. I was like, what's going on? Is it happening? Is it actually happening? Has Bogusch and Perloff gotten the same page?
Bogusch had the backwards hat on. He's ready to go.
I wanted originally to do a pose where I was telling the outfielders where to line up the photo, but the team was so bad I didn't want to be associated with them. So I'm like, Bo's is like, well, let's pose in the car. So honestly, my first picture idea totally fell apart. Sorry. And
Bro, if you make it seem like two outfielders ran and their heads bonked together like coconuts.
The fact that nobody got injured was
Someone
amazing.
get mauled by a tiger in the outfield?
Yes,
What happened?
you have no idea.
Yeah.
It's just like, can I pinch manage for this team? But we did pose this.
Is it going to matter?
No, but it's for the posing. I'm starting to have some issues about this road trip to San Antonio. Not you, Bogusch.
Oh.
Right.
Just in
I'm
general.
not
I feel
involved.
like I lost a bet. What was the bet I lost?
Wemby to
Wemby would rookie of the year. So
Remember
the
Wemba
punishment
Shama?
was that I have to drive to San Antonio.
To apologize to
Now,
him.
yes. Now all of a sudden, there's a lot of talk about, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Oh, we'll go to this game. We'll go to that game. Everybody's trying to get in on my punishment. What is going on here?
Not me.
All I wanna do is
you
see-
seem pretty excited about going to see a University of Texas football game the other day.
I said I'd fly out
Right, that's what I'm.
right.
That's,
So
I'm excited
why
about
do you
that.
get to fly out on my road trip?
because I didn't lose Jack. This is just for funsies, but I'm not driving with you anywhere. There's no we.
Well, yeah,
maybe.
but it feels like you want to be part of it and get to go to an awesome. So you get to do the awesome part, and I have to do all the driving.
That's how
Yes,
losing works.
you
Perloff.
lost. So we get to come in and we can kind of parachute in surgically on all of this, but you've got to do the driving.
And on that note, having been in the car, I've
Yeah,
got new concerns about the car getting to San Antonio. It seems only slightly sturdier than the Bolts defense.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. There are a lot of dents. I mean, I've been in New York City for many years. A lot of dents. And by the way, sorry I didn't clean the car. I have kids, but you understand that.
Oh gosh, so many crumbs.
Oh, my God.
Sticky things. It's disgusting.
Can't
having
let the kids eat in the car.
Oh,
Yeah, good luck
with
with
So
that.
my daughter doesn't like the. She's like, the car smells like old food, Dad. I'm like, yes, because when you were a
eating.
kid, you somehow could not hit your mouth with the popcorn, and it's all stuck in the seats there for 5 years. You know, Maggie, you know what I'm talking about.
It's awful.
Why can't kids eat in a car? Like they can eat at home. Anyway, I'm starting to think more about this road trip. I might go in a completely different direction just to throw you guys.
Wait,
This
what?
was like a
East?
this
I don't
was
understand.
supposed to be a
What do you mean?
Perloff solo trip.
It is a
Perloff
solo
takes
trip.
America. Now everybody wants. Even Bilatti's probably going to try and get in here.
He's not allowed to leave the studio, though.
No, I'm not.
If there was pro wrestling as anywhere on this trip, I'm sure Pete would show up.
That's true.
Depends.
House show in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Pete there.
I mean, you could
That
find
is
a show
kind of
on
on
the
the
way.
way. You Scranton, you got to go west. That'll
know.
work.
There's
I've
got to be
been
an Elks Club somewhere with a.
A
I
summer
don't know.
camp.
Why do you
having-
think that you going some other route is going to stop me from watching Texas football when you get to Texas? I don't get that.
Well, I don't understand. You guys never had the plan to go down for that football game before this road trip. Was that now that I'm going down there, everyone's like, "Hey, let's go to the Red River Rivalry." Why didn't we say that last year? I would have wanted to go to the Red River Rivalry.
Well, now we've got even more of an excuse to go, which is
I
really
got it.
good.
You were just looking for any excuse to go watch college football.
Yeah, well, EJ's to his credit.
my dream.
He
Yeah.
did say this is his dream rivalry. I think you just want to go to the state fair and
Yeah, it's like who doesn't love the state fair?
eat deep fried butter.
Oklahoma, Texas football. It sounds like America all in one fell swoop. And Perloff's like, no, you can't have this. Let me drive alone. I'm like, okay, you can drive alone. I'm still gonna go to Red River Rivalry.
Why did you go last year? You make it sound like a no-brainer.
I was here. What do you mean? I just got here.
Right. Wasn't with us last year.
But why is everyone allowed to go this year? Like, we still have the same issues as we did last year. Who's paying for this trip?
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
But this is your fault as well, because this is supposed to be a trip, a straight line, however straight you want to define it, from here to San Antonio. You're the one that created the tour of America. You're the one that opened up the door. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So that get everybody thinking of, okay, what can we do on the non-direct way from New York to San Antonio? So football games came up, and here they are trying
Honestly,
to get in there.
You're going to Chicago. Like, you should go see Caleb Williams. I mean, there's so many cool things on the way.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, my goal is to go during the end of baseball season so I can mix in baseball. So every night I have a game plan.
Oof. I mean, it's turning out pretty cool.
I don't know, but
when I saw the photo of you and Bogusch together, I was like, man, this thing, it's like proof of concept or something. I was like, I could see it now. You guys listening to Pavement or whatever sad dad music you got?
But my dreams looked like it, so I couldn't go.
Maybe Bogusch gets a couple afternoons off from the Bolts. No, I'm just kidding.
Picture taken by Jake, by the way. That's the best thing he did all day. Was take a picture.
Jake is great photographer.
He did not drop the phone.
There you go.
Can I just make this is terrible. Are we allowed to talk about each other's? Jake seemed unfazed by the loss. I did notice that.
Thankfully, that is the best thing about him right now, is that nothing lingers.
Yeah.
There are kids in these games, our team, other teams, who are throwing things, crying, stomping around. He's upset for a nanosecond, and then we're back in the car talking about Fortnite or this. I actually would take a little heartbroken silence at times.
I was going to say, what's the healthier thing?
Yeah.
Well, he only got up once in the game, so that's the other thing.
Was that.
Oh, boy.
Can I just tell you, Maggie, we did have a long discussion about his fandom of Josh Allen because he's out there wearing number 17.
I love it. I love the consistency.
There was some discussion, is that Shohei or Josh Allen?
Yeah,
he wasn't sure.
I'm going to my death with this one. The kid picked 17 last year because of Shohei. This year he's got 17 because of Josh Allen. I don't know when things changed, but whatever.
Oh, man. Probably when Josh threw that bad pass in the end zone in the AFC divisional round.
It's in honor of Maggie that he's now a Josh Allen superfan. But he looked like one of the better players on the team by far, so that's good.
Yeah, we don't really normally skewer 10-year-olds around here.
And we're not naming names except for him, and he was part of the crumbling. So.
It's kind of funny. Do you want your kid to be upset when they lose when he's 10?
He's 10. Yeah.
I mean, there's no
it's
way.
It's probably healthier that he kind of lets it roll off his back.
I mean, you should have seen his teammates, Maggie. Like, there's no way Jake was taking the blame for this one. It's a team effort. Honestly, if he had been upset, it would have been a little weird. Like, dude, I'm sorry, you're not actually Shohei. There's no way you could have won this game. Am I right? I mean, there's nothing really to be upset about.
No, but Maggie's point is valid. I've wanted at times maybe for him to be upset, until we get to the car. He's usually over as we're walking still through the parking lot.
Like skipping?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely cares in the moment. But once the game's over, I need a munchkin. Where's my Gatorade? Oh, is that a swing over there? Yeah.
That's really healthy. I think great athletes are like that. I think after a loss, pro athletes don't care. The fans care way much more than the pro athletes.
Yeah.
You guys ever notice that in a locker room where some guys are upset, but a lot of guys are like, hey, what time's our dinner reservation?
Yeah.
I have always felt that way. The pro athletes are able to compartmentalize.
What were they like when they were 10?
They actually won.
Oh my goodness.
They caught the ball.
Yeah, you think LeBron was losing any 10-year-old basketball game?
Come on, Bolts.
I think I saw a couple future pros on the other team. There's a lefty first baseman. Oh my God. I was like, is this Bryce Harper? What is going on with this other team? That was the other thing someone's got a drug test.
One last thing I had too, though. Bolts, are we sold in that name?
No.
I mean, there's nothing I can do. That's the name of the organization.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a pre-existing thing.
Don't love
that we
it.
joined. Yeah.
Maybe it's to do what the Utah hockey team is doing. Maybe do a little crowd surfing on that.
Among the 12 families who are currently on the team.
Exactly.
Sorry, one more Little League topic. The amount of money spent at these fields, oh my God.
Yeah.
Snacks and
they look
stuff?
great.
I've
seen them too.
The fields are gorgeous. It is.
Bats are $400.
It looks like an expensive hobby, this Little League baseball. Maggie, you're going to hit that at some point down the road. Get ready to shell out some bucks to play sports.
Well, maybe I'll try to have my kid be a swimmer or something. It doesn't seem...
Swimming's so expensive.
Oh, gosh.
Soccer,
Okay.
I understand soccer is the most expensive, but then swimming's expensive, baseball's expensive. Little League, that's a big issue, by the way. Little League has to figure out a way to kind of end this, because I saw the amount of like brand new Nike gloves out there was insane.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is travel, so it's not Little League where costs are okay, but the idea of like all sports, you're being priced out of training and priced out of
Big
practice,
deal.
priced out of chances to compete on anything of a higher level.
Also, are we turning out better baseball players?
No, it's
That's
not.
the question.
That could be because it's expensive and you knock out a lot of kids.
We've left almost no time for headlines. There's got to be some, but that was an amazing picture. Bottom line.
And I think there's a better one hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll save that one for like the Christmas album or something.
Yeah.
Late last week, I should say, we were talking about the T-Wolves winning the NBA title, and now apparently they're done after a second straight home loss to the Nuggets. When they won Game 2, Chris Finch's team only allowed 80 points in Denver.
They're in a comfortable rhythm, so we got to change a few things up and try to, kind of stop them from getting their engine revving so high right now.
Like when scoring 8 points in the final 20 seconds of the first half to lead by 15. They won 115-107 behind 35 points from Nikola Jokic, 27 from Aaron Gordon, 19 from Jamal Murray. Anthony Edwards did score 44 for Minnesota, but Karl-Anthony Towns missed 13 of 18 shots he took. The Pacers didn't miss much yesterday afternoon, crushing the Knicks in Indy, 121-89 to level that series at 2. The lead at one point was 43, the largest for any team this postseason. But now head coach Rick Carlisle takes his team back to the Garden for Game 5 tomorrow night.
New York is a team that has shown that it has an indomitable will, to compete and rise above anything people say they can't do.
But the Knicks are likely to play again tomorrow without the injured OG Anunoby. Jalen Brunson, that troublesome right foot, never got going yesterday, finishing with just 18 points in 31 minutes. Just like last May, the Pistons have the worst record in the NBA, but end up with the 5th pick thanks to the draft lottery. The Hawks had just a 3% chance to win number 1, but they won number 1. Those are the 5th lowest odds for the lottery winner ever. In case you were wondering, Urban Meyer does not mind college football players making money through NIL. That's capitalism, but of course, a complaint's coming. Urbs does not like that collectives, those pools of donor money, are paying kids for random things.
To have a 17-year-old demand money for a visit, to pay these players, a lot of money to go visit a charity for 20 minutes and they write a check for $50,000. That's cheating. That's not what this is all about.
Now, did I read this story right? Are these comments like 3 years old from the Lou Bowles podcast, but somehow they're only popping up now?
It does feel a little dated.
Yeah.
Also, can we hook Urban Meyer up to the lie detector test and ask him if he ever gave any money for a kid to come to Florida or Ohio State?
It's like the mafia, though. I mean, I'm sure Urban had some layers.
Oh, you think he didn't pass a lie detector test?
He didn't give money, but he certainly sat back and let other people give money, probably. Since it's SEC, I don't think that's a damning accusation by any means.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, all right, now it's cheating when before it was what? Being competitive? I didn't know.
No. To Urban's defense, that's old school cheating. That's like legitimate cheating. This is hypocritical in the sense that they say it's NIL when it's really just paying the guy.
Right, but again...
no. Back in the day, they had class. He just handed money under a table.
Honestly, I think Tim Tebow didn't take money. Might be the only person, maybe, just because he's so...
How could he?
Just like a fearful, a vengeful God. I have no idea. But I doubt Urban Meyer calling anyone out on anything is hysterical.
Well, I don't know. Was he a famous, notorious cheater? I'm not sure. Did he ever get caught with anything?
No, but it seemed like he looked the other way on some really bad behavior in order to win, when he actually could have been maybe helping guys out if he had held them responsible or accountable or anything.
I don't know. That's a pretty tall order. I'm not sure he was going to hold Aaron Hernandez and Percy Harvin accountable.
I'm just saying.
Two scariest guys to ever come in the NFL.
Oh, you're the coach. I mean.
Maybe it's who he chose to recruit to. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. But, yeah, I definitely think it's ridiculous for Urban Meyer to be the conscious of their college sport. It doesn't make any sense.
It's terrible. What I will say, though, is I think the spirit of what he's saying is not wrong, that the NIL collectives are not what NIL is supposed to be.
But like, is anyone shocked that it devolved into this?
Well, no, but it's a lame excuse not to. You should just go ahead and pay players. I think that's the point. And that seems to be where they're headed this offseason. There's been a lot of developments towards paying players. So get rid of the marketing facade and just pay them.
The Vancouver Canucks held off the Oilers 4-3 last night for a 2-1 series lead. The Panthers up 3-1 on the Bruins after a 3-2 win in Boston. And Brandon Nimmo, a game-ending 2-run homer for the Mets. They avoid a 3-game sweep from the Braves 4-3 on Sunday Night Baseball. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much, and send our best to the Bolts. Get them next time. Don't invite Perloff to any of your games. He's not helping anything.
Well, it was already over before he got there.
Coming
I'd love
up,
to blame him for this, but
the next destination for a super team. We've got it for you. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Listen to his debut leg tapes, feeling sad, crying alone. The music fills his soul, brings back memories so clear. In the quiet of his room, this is the great American drive, where dreams come alive. BOGUSCH all alone, crying tears of sadness. No tacos to eat, just ate to soothe its soul. From coast to coast, got the road trip blues, left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, can't believe his eyes. But BOGUSCH stuck at home, his heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall, but it's BOGUSCH left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake.
And your BOGUSCH high on display. Road trip blues won't go away. Left behind, feeling bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, no excuse. Can't believe his eyes, what a sight. While BOGUSCH stays home, feeling so uptight. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall, but it's BOGUSCH left behind, feeling his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered for goodness sake. Counting minutes, ticking like a clock, while Perloff cruises highways, laughter in stock. And your BOGUSCH high on display. Road trip blues won't go away. Left behind.
BOGUSCH waves. He's got the road trip blues left behind. Feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio. Can't believe his eyes. But BOGUSCH stuck at home. His heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama. Perloff took the fall, but it's BOGUSCH left behind. Feeling 10 feet tall, a loser in his own right. Can't catch a break, road trip dream shattered. For goodness sake, for goodness sake, BOGUSCH cruising highways. Hilarity and talk.
Hey, good morning. Yes, I was listening to your show, and you know I'm disabled, and I rode my bus, and he showed me a place on the east side of San Antonio. They breakfast tacos are so big. They are so big, you have to cut it in 3/4.
Wow. I'm in.
Perloff's going to leave tomorrow, whether Wemby's there or not. Kevin, you know, you'll be the tour guide when this all goes down, and thank you so much for holding tight for us, and thank you for the phone call. I know this is all basically one big ruse so that Perloff can eat his weight in breakfast tacos, but it's happening, man.
Breakfast taco is fairly close to the perfect food. I am such a huge fan.
Well, listen, I have to imagine you can get great breakfast tacos, not just in San Antonio, not just in Austin, but also Dallas, Texas. And I want to pause on Dallas for a moment because this is turning into a pretty great series between the Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Luka Dončić is definitely hurt. I know you don't think he's hurt, but he's definitely hurt.
Oh.
Everything hurts. And the way that they're sort of gutting this out and taking the 2-1 series lead over Oklahoma City, I think Dallas becomes more and more of a destination basketball-wise with every passing game. You know, Kyrie has resurrected himself from a guy who, you know, we were talking about more off the court stuff than on the court. Luka has shown that he's fantastic and actually can play in a different way if need be. This is a good team. I think Jason Kidd is clearly a good coach. Dallas is a destination now for a superstar who might be looking for a new home.
Well, I think they're definitely going to be hunting. Because Cuban is always big name hunting, and they're going to ask. But don't you have a problem with Luka's style? I mean, he's the usage king, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the all-time leading usage in NBA history. He's number one. He's led the league in usage 3 out of the last 4 years. So there's one basketball. So what kind of star are you talking about? They have to be able to play off Luka, and I'm not sure anyone's figured out. Kyrie and him take turns to some degree, but Kyrie's a heavy usage guy too. So you have one ball for Kyrie, one for Luka. If you bring in LeBron or Paul George or even a Giannis or an Embiid, I think there's a lot to figure out about how that's going to work because Luka, it's not the Golden State Warriors 300 passes. He is a dribble for a large chunk of the 24-second clock and usually fire up a shot.
I think that if he had a little bit more help, though, like you're seeing how he actually can be a facilitator as well. And here's the thing, for all of the usage, and I get what you're talking about, he and Kyrie Irving took the same amount of shot attempts in the last game where they win 105-101 against the OKC Thunder. 17 shot attempts. Luka was 7 for 17. Kyrie was 10 for 17. So that's not, and PJ Washington actually had the most shot attempts, and he went 11 for 23. And
well, that's one game, though. I mean, you look at Luka's body of work.
Totally.
Dude fires up a lot of shots.
But they clearly needed to play a little bit of a different way. One, because of Luka's injuries, and two, because they're in this sort of dogfight of a series. So I think Luka, I get what you're saying about the usage, and it can sometimes look like James Harden, but the way that they're calling the game now, you're not getting those cheap fouls anymore. So to me, Luka becomes very attractive. He's one of those young superstars. I think LeBron, I think Paul George, any of these guys would want to come play with.
Right, but LeBron, what does that team do? If you add Luka, Kyrie, and LeBron, first of all, unless unless LeBron is really, really going to decide to play defense again, that's a problem right there.
Well, Luka doesn't play a lot of defense.
And Kyrie's not a great
either.
defender. And LeBron last year was picks and chooses when he plays defense. I don't know if that even works. Paul George, old. Again, and they need a compliment. They need the right compliment. You know how LeBron won a title with Anthony Davis? Who is Luka's Anthony Davis? I'm not sure.
Maybe it's Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis would be, actually, he's a guy who can take a little bit of you need a guy who could take a little bit of a backseat and be a great defender. Maybe it is Anthony Davis. But I think they're going to probably at some point, I think Embiid's going to come and play for that team. You know, because first of all, they could win it all this year. I mean, we might be overthinking it. Maybe they have a good enough team as is, but I'm not sure that a guy like Giannis or Embiid is going to want to go there because Luka is not great at sharing the ball. You look at Denver, look at Jokic. That ball stays in his hand it's like a hot potato.
Yep.
It moves around. Everybody's involved all the time. Right now, Dallas is not there yet. Maybe Luka can get there, and he has improved every year. I'll give you that. But I just feel like his style reminds me way too much of James Harden. Still.
Maybe it's what you're being asked to do, right? Like, I always like to believe that great players have the arsenal, right? That what makes them great is they can play multiple different kinds of ways and be dominant and all that. And they can do whatever their team needs them to do in the moment. And I don't think anyone's ever said to Luka, we don't want the ball in your hands. I mean, listen to Jason Kidd. He's like, he's our best player. So he brings the ball up the floor and he always has the ball in his hands. But if you have another, besides Kyrie, who is a legit scoring option, is definitely showing his, experience in the playoffs in this series, add in another legit, a Joel Embiid, you couldn't afford not to give him his touches.
There's actually only one person who holds the ball more than Luka, and that's Embiid. I mean, he never moves the ball. But what about that report? We just did this report Thursday that teammates are so excited when Luka leaves so they can run an offense. There's no way that, if that report has any truth to it, there's no way Doncic is doing what the coaches want. It feels like he's running his own game, or has in the past.
Yeah, interesting. 855-212-4227. Would you want to play with Luka Dončić? Would stars want to play with Doncic? Listen, is Anthony Edwards maybe number one on that list? Probably.
Well, Wemby, I would think, would be number one.
Wemby would also be high up there, but I think don't underestimate Luka. I mean, he really is this incredible player. Just needs a little bit more around him, I think. Okay, we've got some news. It's rare we get breaking news this time in the morning, but we've got it for you. NFL schedule leaking out, guys. Who's going to open the season? We have that for you next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, football fans, hang on to your hats. We've got the opener for the 2024 season. Welcome to the show, by the way, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The schedule is going to start leaking out here in the next couple days. The official release is on Wednesday, but we've got our opener, Perloff. It is
Hit me.
The defending champion Kansas City Chiefs against the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time on NBC. They get the kickoff game. So you get Chiefs, Ravens. Your first reaction is what?
I'm surprised because last year they did the Lions in the same situation, an up-and-coming team, and they don't really waste the best matchup with that opening game. Because everyone's going to watch this Thursday night. What else are you going to do? Of course you're going to watch this. So I thought they would save this sort of premier matchup. Like last year, I think they had the Eagles on their schedule. It would have been a Super Bowl rematch. Instead, the other networks got that game. It was actually a Monday night ESPN game. So I thought it might be the Texans.
Texans are a home game. Bengals are so here's who they had to choose from. Obviously, everyone else in the AFC West. But they could have put Jim Harbaugh in this spot with the Chargers, and that would have been fun too. But again, so Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, we know. Ravens, Bengals, Texans, Saints, and Bucks. These are the home opponents for the Chiefs this year. So you and I were talking about it. I thought maybe Bengals because you're assured you're going to get a healthy Burrow. So maybe get a
Well, I'm not sure they think like that, but yeah.
Again, like you put this game, Burrow and Mahomes playing each other at the end of the season, and Burrow's missed 2 of the 4 of those.
Doesn't feel like the Bengals are a buzzy team right now. Like people have kind of forgotten about them, don't you think? Like, all right, is everyone tuning in for it's like, oh my God, here come the Bengals this year?
Kinda. I mean, Burrow's healthy, but
I
again,
wouldn't put him even in the top 10 of buzz teams. Like, I think Texans are way higher.
Texans definitely. I mean, the surprise run to the second round of the playoffs, but the Ravens Chiefs. I mean, let's see how much of a fluke that game was in the AFC Championship game. Not that you're really going to be able to tell. But
Yeah, the week 1 game is always a funny game where really you could easily get fooled by the week 1 game.
Yeah, listen, the Ravens were an incredible regular season team, and they took care of the Texans at home. And then what happened? They fell apart against the Chiefs in that game, and now you get Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. That is the opener of the season 2024.
Yeah, I still think I would have picked somebody else. But I don't need to see I'm not ready for Ravens Chiefs Thursday, the opening night. I need to ease into that game. It's too competitive. Give me the Texans. I would have done that because obviously you're going to get. I don't think you get a bigger rating, and I'm not an expert on this. You don't get a bigger rating for the Ravens Chiefs than you would Chiefs Texans. I assume you're going to get the same rating for both games. It's a national event, the beginning of the season now, so it's interesting. I'm very curious to see Lamar with the weight. Lost 20 pounds.
Lost 20 pounds.
So we'll see that. That'll be exciting.
Can I give you who they might put with the Texans?
Who?
Maybe they see the Texans now who only had 1 o'clock games all last year. Every game of theirs was a Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now they're going to have tons of primetime games. What can I offer you? Texans home for Buffalo in the opener.
You mean, host
the Bills.
Well, like a night game or something?
Yeah, something like that. Can I give you that?
Sure. That'd be good. The Texans and Bills, honestly, 2 franchises with as little history as I can imagine.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, do they have any big games?
Well,
Texans Bills, they played in the playoffs.
Yeah, they played in the playoffs it was Josh Allen's first playoff game.
Oh, that game. Oh, that was that cold night. I remember that.
Deshaun
game
Watson
was
came
terrible.
back. No, it was in Houston. Deshaun Watson came back from a big from the Bills were up 10, and Deshaun Watson had this big comeback. And Josh Allen kind of just fell apart in the end.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Ravens-Bills game. Okay.
No, that was a different one.
Yeah.
Can I also offer you, let's see, you want Texans, huh? Let me give you, this is the one team that you are more excited to see even more than the Chiefs?
Well, no. I do want to see the Texans. I want to see the Lions. I think if you're talking about, how much primetime real estate is there? There's Thursday night, there's Sunday night, Monday night. I think they said they're not going to do a Monday night doubleheader. Isn't that a thing?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I want to see, and we know Friday night will be the Eagles-Packers, so they're out. So you got Thursday night is going to be Chiefs-Ravens, Friday Eagles-Packers, then Sunday.
Can I offer you, would you like Texans-Dolphins?
No.
Would you like Texans-Lions?
Yes. That they're playing?
Yep.
There you go.
That's in Houston this year. Again, we're telling you that the schedule has started to leak out a bit. We've got our first game. We got the debut, 2024. It's going to be the Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens. So coming out of the gate with a bang.
Then the Niners will get another primetime game. So give me theirs. I think you almost always give the Super Bowl loser.
Yep. 49ers, I know they play the Bills.
There you go.
I don't know if we want to keep slotting the Bills somewhere, but I can give you the 49ers. Here are their opponents at home. Obviously, you got everyone in the division. Bears. They do that to Caleb Williams.
What do they usually put the rookie in prime time on the opening night?
I
feel like that's a little risky.
Bryce Young, what was that? That the first game or the second game they put him on open Monday Night Football? It was the second game. Remember
it
that
can't be
doubleheader?
week 1. Yeah, they did not put Bryce Young in week 1 Monday night.
I've got a couple good
ones
for you.
Did they really?
I can give you 49ers also play the Lions. So you want to have a little NFC championship game rematch. I can give you, maybe they do the twin rematches. Would that be possible? They do Chiefs-Ravens and they do 49ers-Lions as the twin rematches? I don't know. How about the New York Jets? Can I give you San Francisco hosting Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets?
That's unfair. You're going to put Aaron Rodgers on national TV after what happened last year?
There's no time like the present.
Oh, you can't. Not
Get
after
him
last
early. Get him early so you know he's going to be
early,
healthy.
like within the first 5 plays, like last year.
Yes, exactly.
No, you cannot do that. Fate says do not put Aaron Rodgers in prime time after last year. Remember they ran out with the flag and the level of excitement. You can't do that again.
Oh, I remember. And they won the game. I mean, let's not forget the outcome there, but, it's like won the battle, lost the war.
I like that Lions-Niners because that's going to be a most likely NFC title game preview. That is awesome.
I can also give you 49ers will at some point this season host the Dallas Cowboys. I doubt they would do that on an opener. Like you said, you don't need more buzz on the opener.
Right. The Cowboys, all the networks want to hide those games. And because I believe that Fox and CBS get to protect a lot of different matchups. So it's really interesting, the puzzle piece that is this. But, man, I'm getting excited all of a sudden. Is it Wednesday night or Thursday night that the whole thing is coming out?
So it'll be the schedule?
Yeah.
Wednesday. The whole schedule will be out Wednesday, but we're going to get some dribs and drabs. And, again, this is the breaking news this morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Here we go, which is going to be Chiefs hosting the Ravens as the first game of the season.
Man, the Ravens are going to be a house of fire for that game. They're so mad after the AFC title game.
It's just Derrick Henry just
I don't even think it's him. I think it's anybody who was in that last game. You and I don't see that game the same way, the Chiefs-Ravens. I think the Ravens think they blew an opportunity.
Oh, they definitely blew an opportunity, but I just thought Lamar played really bad. He blew it.
How did he play so bad?
The stats don't tell the story with this. I thought he was making uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, really holding on to the ball in the second half. Bad decision-making. Just feels like the Kansas City defense got to him because Kansas City didn't score a point in the second half of that AFC Championship game. And the Chiefs still hung on to win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Zay Flowers' fumble and Zay Flowers' penalty were huge.
They were.
But
they were again. They were in the first half. So you still weren't they?
No, I think they were.
Was it third quarter?
I think they were both the second half, but I'm not sure.
Zay Flowers' fumble was the second half.
Second half, but
it was
third quarter,
I believe.
Not fourth quarter. They still had, I think, did they have 3 drives after that to try to make up for it? Again,
yes.
And Kansas City came out. Sorry. Kansas City came out and they were awesome. Remember, Kelsey couldn't be stopped in the first quarter. He was awesome.
No, I know.
They
that
had
Kansas
their
City
moments.
caught off the dogs. Honestly, Baltimore looked like the better team in the second half, but it might be because KC was just protecting the lead.
It was weird for Kansas City to play that kind of game because they were still being aggressive against the Bills in the second half. And then for the Ravens, they just sat on the lead. 855-212-4227. So there you go. Chiefs, Ravens, kick off the season. Tell us whether you love it, whether you don't love it. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more news on the schedule throughout the day. Let's get to the phones. 855-212-4227. Charlie is in Vancouver, wants to talk about what we saw in the Nuggets-Timberwolves game last night. That's a Nuggets win. A series is all knotted up at 2 games apiece. Charlie, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. I just missed the first hour and a half of the show, so if I'm parroting, please forgive me. But the adjustment that Michael Malone and Denver made by moving Aaron Gordon to the point guard to have Rudy Gobert, the 19-time Defensive Player of the Year, have to come out and guard somebody at 45 feet, which is his complete weakness, and just dominate the game. 7 for 7 in the first half. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. That makes such a difference, and it was such a curveball. I thought it was tremendous. I am just so impressed, and also I just think he deserves a Coach of the Year just for that.
Just rip it away from Mark Daignault and give it to Mike Malone.
We could figure out why Gobert was on Aaron Gordon at a certain point, and Kat was on Jokic. Maybe try something different. We're totally with you. That matchup was screwed up from the. Is this an adjustment that should have been made by Minnesota?
Absolutely. But it's one of those in-game things that some coaches are afraid to do. They've got to see it on film and all that kind of stuff, just like Malone did. I mean, he should have figured that out in Game 2 when Minnesota looked like the best defensive team in the world. Well, don't have the same guys in the same spacing. Put guys in positions they aren't familiar with. That is fantastic coaching. Not a lot that's done in the NBA or anywhere else now. I like it. I loved it.
Charlie, thank you. We asked you, and appreciate your phone call. We asked a poll question today, is the series over now that Denver has figured a few things out, won 2 games of Minnesota's home floor? It's all tied up, 2 games apiece, and there's obviously personal stakes here because if I end up coming back to win this bet, which I picked the Nuggets in this series, even when they were down 0-1, then Perloff has to eat the Rocky Mountain oysters, and if he wins the bet and Minnesota somehow pulls this out, I have to eat this lime jello tuna fish concoction that is somehow native to Minnesota. I don't even know how that happened, but
Well, they like gel-like fish products.
yeah, lovely.
Lutefisk. Yeah, I mean, my only hope is that Aaron Gordon doesn't hit 97% of his shots.
Well, you can never be too sure.
Yeah,
because
I
here's
mean,
the thing: he hit all those jumpers in the first half, and then in the second half, he was like open under the basket for dunks, and Jokic was finding him.
I mean, he's hit his threes. I mean, first of all, if Aaron Gordon's going to shoot like that, there's just no way you're going to beat the Nuggets. That's the bottom line. Because Anthony Edwards was also shooting like that. And so T-Wolves had every chance to win. Honestly, if the way the Nuggets played, I don't know if anyone can beat them in that particular game. When you get a lot out of Porter and Gordon, because you know Jokic is always going to show up. You know Jamal Murray's usually going to be effective. So those extra guys make so much difference. Whereas Jaden McDaniels, Nickel Walker-Alexander, all these T-Wolf guys, I don't think they have enough offense to really help. Who's going to help Edwards? It's got to be Cat, right?
It has to be, and Anthony Edwards is the one who keeps saying that. It's got to. Karl Anthony Towns has to score, and he was bad yesterday. To our pal Jay, who's in Nashville. Hey Jay.
Good morning, Perloff. Good morning, Maggie Cakes. Man, yeah, I heard you guys talking earlier. I was trying to call in earlier from work, but that building's so big sometimes it just you'll be cutting in and out and stuff like that. But oh yeah, I know we haven't talked movies in a long time. I got two you got to watch. One's a movie, one's a series. It's on Netflix. The first one is Rebel Moon. They got Rebel Moon 1 and 2 out. Then the other one, which will actually cook your noodles. I'm only on episode 6, but it's called The Three-Body Problem.
Oh yeah,
you got to check that out. Talk about a mind bender. I'm telling you. And I remember we used to talk movies back in the day. You got to watch this.
Wait, hold on, Jay. Is The Three-Body Problem, is this something like Black Mirror, like one of those kind of sci-fi Twilight Zone type of things?
No, it's beyond that, man. It's like if you ever pay attention to people like Billy Carson or Jordan Maxwell, God rest his soul, the ancient alien people. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Literally never heard of any of these people you've said.
Yeah, if you're a tinfoil hatter, or if you're like a really into the esoteric stuff and stuff like that, if you're a physicist, if you're into physics and quantum physics and stuff like that, this movie, it's a sci-fi movie that goes way beyond. But when you're looking at it, you're that part of your brain that says like this could really be happening.
Wait,
really
Jay, you've been listening to this show for many, many years now. You've been with us since the beginning. What about us makes you think we're into quantum physics?
Oh,
maybe Perloff.
Three-Body Problem I watched the day it came out, every episode, and I started reading it too.
I will speak for myself. What makes you think that I would be into something like that? Perloff and his Dartmouth degree, definitely. Not me.
No, Jay, it's not quantum. You don't have to know quantum physics. It's really sci-fi, I think. Isn't that a better way to describe it?
Okay,
No, quantum physics, it is actually a thing. You got quantum entanglement, you got the quantum field. This is stuff that scientists are getting into, and like the more they get into quantum physics, they're changing everything. They're like, whoa, wait, hold up. What's going on here?
This sounds like one of those Christopher Nolan movies that leaves you more confused when you're leaving the theater than when you first came into the theater and no one has any idea what the heck's going on.
That's exactly how it is. It's like when you go watch episode 1 of a Three-Body Problem, at first it goes real slow, and then when it gets towards the end, bam.
Okay.
That what if part of your brain just starts working overtime.
All right.
And then the deeper you get into the episodes, you're just like, well, it's almost kind of scary because it's one of those sci-fi movies where you're like, this could actually be happening.
Wait, Jay, what do you got on Chiefs-Ravens? Just got announced as the season opening game. Chiefs hosting the Ravens to kick off the 2024 season.
Well, I heard y'all talking about the Chiefs three-peating and stuff like that. I really don't care. The Chiefs are almost they're like a block away from being in like Houston Astros territory with me because they keep on getting help. Every Super Bowl, I don't care what anybody thinks. They keep on getting these cheap calls and stuff like that. You just can't put Chiefs in the Astros like territory because the Astros are beating the garbage can. They're doing it themselves, but the refs were helping them out. And I don't care what anybody says.
Wait, how did the refs help the Chiefs in the last Super Bowl?
Man, those calls. Come on, man. You, Maggie, come on. Don't even do that with me. You know, all of us have been, even Perloff be talking about it. You know what I mean? It's always some ticky-tacky foul that helps them out in the end. It's just the thing with the Chiefs, which I'll give them credit for, you cannot make mistakes against them, period. Don't make any mistakes.
And Kyle Shanahan made the big mistake, which was settling for the field goal in overtime. Jay, you're the best. I'm going to check these out. Rebel Moon, thank you, and Three Body Problem.
Don't bother.
It's not my thing. I was just being nice.
Yeah. Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. First of all, even sci-fi people or like even fantasy movie people are having trouble with that one. But I
want to be open to Jay's suggestions here, but I'm going to be honest, this is not my cup of tea.
Have you guys, and the politics of Three Body Problem is super complicated too.
Because it's conspiracy theory stuff?
No, it's a Chinese author, and like China's the hero of it. And we're kind of in a Cold War with China.
Yeah,
it's very fascinating. So basically, there's these Chinese scientists who send a message out to outer space, and that's all I will say.
And then hilarity ensues?
Not exactly.
I've heard Rebel Moon is garbage.
Yeah, Rebel Moon. I will say that Jay liked it.
My nerd community, unless you're a Snyder fan, which there are those.
It's one of the most expensive shows ever made, right?
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Sorry, I sold a short here that I am not into quantum physics. I forgot that EJ is king of the nerds and Perloff is first lieutenant.
Well, no, but actually, you don't strike me. You're more of a Marvel guy.
I'm more Marvel. I'm not so much into sci-fi, but because Zack Snyder's been so dipped into DC stuff from the past, I've followed a lot of what's happened with Rebel Moon. My brother's a huge Zack Snyder fan. I have not heard good things about Rebel Moon, but Zack Snyder's saying there's another version of Rebel Moon that he may also drop too, which is a weird thing in itself. So maybe the second version would be better, just like his second Justice League was better. But I've not heard good things.
By the way, the guy in Three Body Problem, one of the stars is from Doctor Strange, his best friend in Doctor Strange. So
Wong?
Yeah, Wong.
You guys are talking a different language. This is I feel like you're speaking Chinese right now. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Doctor Strange only made, $400 billion, and pretty much 93% of Americans saw it, but we're talking a different language.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the odd man out. Sorry, Jay's point about the Chiefs and getting help.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the Niners Super Bowl.
James Bradbury, I mean, the defensive holding, that one we definitely, now I'm just trying to think, what was the maybe I'm just forgetting. What was the, EJ, remind us, was there an egregious call?
No.
Not in the playoffs. They had in the Super Bowl, no.
We would know that because I'm the first to tweet anything an official does wrong. I'm all over it.
Wasn't there a terrible I felt like the Chiefs were getting bad whistle. Wasn't there like a terrible intentional grounding that should have been intentional grounding that would have been against the Niners? Or I feel like a lot of calls in that game were not Chiefs related in terms of them getting a fair whistle. That's the game I remember.
All right, I got to go back and think about it, but it was. Listen, there's also a part of this where if you're going to play the Chiefs at Arrowhead, like in the AFC Championship game, you've got to understand, yes, you might get a bad whistle. I think really just the Eagles Super Bowl is where they really benefited the most. That James Bradbury call, I didn't love it at the time. In that moment, you got to let him play.
And of course, they had the personal foul against the Bengals.
But that was a real personal foul.
All right, it was the right call.
He pushed him late out of bounds. I can't even say that was just a mental error.
Yeah, there's always that idea that do you hold your whistle for plays like that? I mean, the guy made the foul, so there's only so much you can do.
I don't think the Bradbury whistle or that penalty was considered in the annals of controversial calls, because the Bradbury call may be a little controversial, but he clearly did, by the letter of the law, have a penalty. We've seen so many worse calls. I mean, think of the Saints-Rams game, the missed pass interference. That's a bad call.
That's
maybe
the worst call ever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I understand the Chiefs do have that vibe that they get a lot of calls. But remember, what was the D Ford offsides play? That was the correct call. They maybe should have warned them. And they got screwed on Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney, that was against the Bills in the regular season.
Yeah, they totally got screwed on that call because the official should have said something about lining up on the scrimmage. So I'm not sure Jay's right about that one. By the way, we love Jay. I hate to say negative things about Jay.
No, he's the best.
Yeah.
Calling in with his movie recommendations and everything. We love it.
Rebel Moon, Maggie, you will never see this movie.
No, I won't. I will not. No, guys, I'm into Shogun a little late.
Yeah.
I had to wait for everyone in America to watch it, and then I'll watch it.
My dad gave me a lot of crap for making you watch Civil War first. He was like, you could have got Maggie into this. You started her with the first Captain America movie.
I know. Well, that was part of my punishment.
Right. That's what I told him. I was like, this wasn't about getting Maggie involved. This was about torturing her for losing the bracket challenge.
And boy, did I feel like a loser.
Civil War was a good one, though. At least you had Chadwick Boseman.
Great acting. Great cast.
Yeah, Maggie, you were like, oh my God, why are all these Oscar-winning actors? And that's the deal with Marvel. They pay you to come in there.
Yeah.
You didn't like it? Not at all?
Not even a little. 855-212-4227. Okay, so much more to do. We're off track a little bit because we had that breaking news. It's going to be Chiefs-Ravens to start the season in 2024. Got an interesting one for you about one of the high draft picks from the most recent NFL draft. We'll get that story to you next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. Bogusch is here, Maggie. I promise I am done criticizing his son's Little League team. I've actually been feeling...
I don't know if you've gotten it out of your system.
Feeling guilty for an hour. It's just when you see... I don't care if somebody drops a ball or if somebody swings and misses. It's the structural problems, the coaching. And the coaches were really... They seem to be doing a nice job. You got to hit the cutoff man. That's rule number one. Every kid, if you're going to put on a baseball glove and go out there, you're going to hit the cutoff man.
Yeah. But again, this is not, I'm not the coach of this team, but being the coach of two other teams, it is remarkable how many times you can practice the old cutoff drill. And then kids are like, what's that? When it actually happens in the moment. And I'm sure like every teacher feels the same way about a subject or whatever, but like all of these things I can confirm have been practiced.
What about calling out when there's a pop-up? That is like, that's a first thing.
You call for it? Oh yeah, no, that's a thing too. And then there was
Perloff's describing this game like
it was.
Honestly, I'm being generous, Maggie. It was way worse.
Hold on.
Remember that Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs just runs around the bases?
Yeah. If there was betting on 10U travel baseball, there would have been an inquiry into the Bolts possibly shaving points.
Here's a question though: what kind of sports parent are you? Are you the kind of parent who has to like watch from the car, watch from the outfield? Are you right up on the dugout, yelling at the kid, telling him, giving him pointers, like Perloff you for Lucy in the pool?
Yeah, I mean, I was the official, again, scorekeeper, bookkeeper Saturday, so I was closer to the field. It's very tense for me. I try to be a little farther away, but I did when Jake. It was, 1,000 to nothing at this point, and the ball was hit to Jake, and we needed to get out of the inning. And he dropped it, and I did a kind of like stomp and walk away just because like I didn't, after the fact, I'm like, oh, that wasn't it. But he didn't see it, thankfully. Yeah. But like he needed to make the catch. He can make the catch, and he didn't, and it was a little deflating.
There's another really funny play where Jake's team hit a ball into the outfield. And
no, they didn't.
Well, no, it was like the short right field, and the guy caught it, but he had his glove right on the ground. He kind of dove. Yeah. And all the parents on Bogusch's team were arguing, no, he dropped it. And I just see Bogusch go, no, he definitely caught that. Yeah. Like resign. They were trying to argue. Yeah. I'm like, it's 12-0. We're really going to fight about this.
And people wanted to know, why was Perloff at Bogusch's son's travel baseball game?
Never miss a good baseball game.
Well, it
was not a good baseball game, sir.
It sounds like you didn't get a good baseball game, but that's okay. It's the fact that they're out there and trying.
Killing time because I had to wait for my daughter to finish her swim meet because we weren't allowed. You asked, how am I at a swim meet? Swim meets are, the kids can't hear you. They're in the pool. So you cheer, but like they don't, you're like, what am I cheering for? So I try in time, go Lucy when she comes up to breathe, and she has no idea.
Have you asked her if there's any that's getting through?
No, I don't think it is because she's not exactly placing on the medal stand.
That's right. At least she just doesn't like it either.
Best thing about these swim meets is once in a while there's a Michael Phelps kind of kid there who just laps the field, who's like headed to the Olympics. You're like, what is going on? It's highly competitive. No, being a sports parent is not fun, Maggie. I'm not sure you want to look forward to this. It can be kind of painful, right, Bogusch?
Yes. Baseball, the pitching aspect, when your kid's pitching, it's the worst.
Grueling.
It's just the worst. Yeah. Good or bad, does not matter. Every pitch is stressful.
Did Jake like pitching?
Yeah, Jake likes pitching, and unlike me, Jake wants, I don't know where this comes from, maybe his mom, but like Jake wants to pitch, Jake wants the ball hit to him. If I got out of a game unscathed, I was happy.
And that's why you're sitting here with us.
That's one of the reasons. Being 5'8" and unathletic is another. I knew my limitations.
Meanwhile, the other team had, what's that guy, the Pirates?
PaulSkenes.
Yeah, they had a PaulSkenes, a 10-year-old version of PaulSkenes.
With the mustache still?
Yeah.
I mean,
Three Olivia Dunns waiting on the sideline for him, too.
I mean, I'm like, why does a 10-year-old know how to throw a slider like that? Like a Mariano Rivera. It was insane. The other team was so
Got the
good.
cutter?
It was ridiculous.
Is this one of those things where the parents have to keep the kid's birth certificate in her purse?
I mean, we do. We actually have digital IDs. So you don't
You're
have that carry.
kidding.
Yeah, that's like it's. I mean, half of it's a scam because it's like costs $3 from some organization to make it, but it's actually easier to have this than like the paperwork.
Have you called out somebody like I want to see the paperwork on that kid? Some like Danny Almonte.
No,
looking
we have
kid?
not done that yet. That's a really petty thing to do because like kids are just bigger. It is what it is. But we have done like bat checks. That's a common thing.
For what?
Because there are rules about what kind of bats you can use.
They have different checks.
bats.
I thought you said back checks.
No,
I'm like,
no,
like
bat
Rashee
checks.
Rice, like checking with the trainers at SMU.
Yeah, there's different stickers on different bats, and that's how you can tell whether they're allowed to be in the game or not. So sometimes you have a bat check.
I was going to say, you can't cork a metal bat, right?
No, but there's no. You cannot.
Good question.
No.
This is our sci-fi quantum physics expert.
Oh,
Can
tell-
cork a metal bat.
But I blew Perloff's mind pointing out the new hot travel bat is called the Easton Hype Fire. It's this beautiful red, orange, and yellow bat, and they just had they just banned one of the versions of it because it's too good. It's too powerful, and the ball is coming off too hard and going too far. You cannot use this certain type of that bat.
It's like the Big Bertha of drivers, like type of thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question about bats, by the way. I'm actually going to bring in some real sports here. Last night, the Mets were playing, the Braves, and all their bats were pink. I thought players had a bat and would not give it up. So did they just paint the existing bats pink? Or did they give them all new bats for the Mother's Day tribute?
I think that if you're a Major League Baseball player, I think you have no more than like 50 bats at your exact weight and how you like the barrel and the handle and all that stuff. And I think probably they take one of them and make them pink.
I thought that they had a less number of that because they got really comfortable with one or two bats. But
but I think it's like the consistency of it, right?
Yeah, because I know that's like a religious thing. Like they need their bat because you saw all the pink bats last night.
Yeah, for all the Mother's
We're
Day
super
stuff.
cool, but I was wondering well, what if they love this bat? And this is insane. These fiery bats, they're like something out of Game of Thrones.
It's like actually on fire, like the
Yes,
Savannah
it is
Bananas.
honestly, yes. That's what I meant. It felt like these bats were on fire. Of course, it was hard to tell with Bogusch's team because they were actually just sitting on the shoulder for a lot of money.
Bats on us in this game Saturday.
Even I was
It's
screaming,
more
take
visualization.
take a cut, Billy. What are you doing here?
When I was a Little League umpire, certified up to junior varsity, I used to call strikes on when kids would do that and they just would not swing the bat because they were just hoping to get walked because they wanted to run the bases because that's like more fun or whatever. I would start calling strikes on stuff like you thought Angel Hernandez was bad. You should say my strike zone just to get the kids to swing. So you can't just sit here and we're not going to walk the whole lineup.
Yeah.
Like
No,
we
that's
got to
the thing.
go.
Oh my
And
god!
I'm
So you
getting
were my
paid-
worst nightmare when I played Little League.
I'm getting paid by the hour and I still was doing that.
Well, the problem though was that so I was like a sports nerd, obviously, at 7 years old. So I'm playing Little League. So I'm seeing pitches that are obviously outside or obviously up. So I'm thinking, let me just get on base. A walk is as good as a hit. And I would just get called strikeouts all the time. And I'm like, the
swing
pitch is out
the
my
bat.
eyes. How is that a strike?
Blame your teammates and your whole philosophy because you got to swing the bat. I got someplace to be. I got a boyfriend. We got to get out of here.
Humble brag there. But but what about
the umpireness of the boyfriend?
How about being a 15-year-old dating an umpire?
what about sabermetrics and getting on base percentage, Maggie? What about the Little League analytics? Billy Bean would be like so mad at you. I think analytics got down to minor league baseball.
8-year-old EJ was trying to move the line along, and Maggie was calling him strike out.
And I was not only calling him, I was calling him big. Bow and arrow, just boom.
Oh, get out of here.
That's my girl. I had an issue like that. I umpired in middle school, and there's a no walk rule. So you have to, at a certain point.
So why is the umpire there?
Not a no walk rule. I forgot what the rule was, but at a certain point where you cannot walk. I think there's only 3 walks an inning.
Right.
So
you got to swing.
We were at the third walk.
Yeah.
And this pitcher was constantly throwing balls all over the place. I could not even call a strike. and make it look good.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was, and the parents kept the pitcher on the mound. This should not have happened. So I'm calling like 400 balls, and the batter's just sitting there, and she's throwing it all over the place. I don't know what I can't call a strike. It's in the other batter's box. It's like far in the other batter's box. It looks obvious that it's a ball. So those rules stink.
You know, it didn't work for me when I was a kid. I used to try and take pitches on T-ball. Not good. I was like, I set it too low. That's a walk. I did crack Bogusch up with the story of playing in the Jewish Youth League baseball league. We had a 5-tool player named Brem Moldovsky who would always round second and the yarmulke would fly off. So he'd get the third and have to run back and it'd be like what we would call a suicide drill. Like he'd be going back and forth, running the bases, grabbing his yarmulke. But he was such a...
Where was the batting helmet? That was also off.
That was off. Actually, I don't know. It was Little League, so I don't even know if we were... Yeah, I guess we were wearing helmets, but he was a gap hitter. He was like... We compared him to Von Hayes back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Sure.
Very
Just
much
like
so.
him.
Yeah. But he just couldn't keep that darn yarmulke on. He was going so fast. Big issue in Jewish Youth League baseball.
I can see how that would have
What a
hamstrung
many
the
issues.
team. I'm sure that was the only issue.
Yeah. Well, Max Fried is a good Jewish
That
pitcher.
is true. He had some
Brad Ausmus.
another 6 no-hitter innings last night. Whatever, didn't matter. Bogusch says headlines. Hello.
You guys have already mentioned we've got another official game for next NFL season. Those Chiefs will host the Ravens on Thursday night, September 5th, as a warm-up for that Eagles-Packers tilt in Rio the next night. The full schedule comes out on Wednesday. We just finished a weekend of rookie minicamps around the NFL. Marvin Harrison Jr. was on the field in a Cardinals number 18 jersey, which you cannot buy yet. Maserati Marv has yet to sign the standard licensing agreement with the NFLPA. That's how you get paid as a player for jersey sales, being in Madden, all that good stuff. But Harrison Jr. hasn't signed it because he has a pre-existing deal with Fanatics, and now he wants them to give him more for making money off his NIL. We don't know exactly what he's looking for, but this holdup does not seem to be ending anytime soon, so no dice yet on a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey.
Can I share my honest reaction to this story? Marvin Harrison Jr. sounds like kind of a weirdo. I'm sorry. This is based on... he's an amazing player, and he seems like a pretty good interview, but this whole thing is like, I don't know, he's in Arizona with Kyler Murray, who also seems a little bit off the beaten path. I don't know if this is all good. I don't really care about the licensing deal, but I'm not sure about all this.
Well, first, how long is he going to drag this? Like, does he really? Can he see this out to the end where he's just on an island by himself with no deal when everyone else signs the deal?
I mean, he could be the next Barry Bonds and Michael Jordan. Like, those guys didn't sign those deals, and that's why those guys weren't on NBA Live or MLB baseball, whatever. Like, there's a famous player, Ron Dowd, I think his name was, that was Barry Bonds in these games, but instead of being Barry Bonds, he was like some white dude who had 99 overall. Like, you knew it was Bonds. I feel like that may be where we're going with Marvin Harrison. Like, he's going to be just some anonymous guy that's in these games, but we won't actually have him on the video games. It's bizarre.
John Dow.
That's what his name was. Thank you.
Did they actually end up being worth it financially for Bonds? Like,
I don't think it is. That's why this is stupid.
Yeah.
There's no way. I know, I get the theory behind Bonds and I get the theory behind Mike, which is that they're way more valuable than whatever this deal is. But the games are still gonna get made. People are still gonna bootleg the jerseys. Like, I don't know. Just sign the thing and move on. This feels like a fight. Honestly, I feel like this is Marvin Sr. That's my conspiracy is that Marvin Sr. is involved with this.
He's going to do all the things I wish I did,
right?
And living it out to your kid. Probably.
Why does Marvin Harrison Sr. care about this fight? It feels bigger than any one player. Like, what? Marvin Harrison,
well, my
sense of, what is he? Isn't he running a restaurant in Philadelphia? So what does he care?
To be honest, I mean, your kid comes up in the NIL era. You definitely are seeing the value.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So maybe you're not just also, he can be in the position where probably has a couple pennies, they don't need the money, maybe not to count someone else's money, but they can be a little more judicious, take a few more risks because they're nest egg from their dad. I don't know. Or it's nest egg from Ohio State, sorry. What else we got, Bo?
With Game 4 in Minnesota, changing in the final 20 seconds of the first half. A three, a dunk, and then Jamal Murray's half-court buzzer beater. 8 Nugget points in those 20 seconds, creating a 15-point halftime lead. Michael Malone's team eventually beat the T-Wolves 115-107.
That was a key stretch, 8-0 run. You know, we were playing a great first half, and then they started getting some momentum. The game got really ratty there. And, you know, for us to take that 8-0 run, to build it to, I think, 15 at the break was really impactful.
The road team now 4-0 in this series, so it's a best of 3, starting with Game 5 in Denver tomorrow night. Not sure what position Josh Hart would play in 10U travel baseball, but this is the kind of mentality the Nassau Bolts need.
One game doesn't affect the other, so you just got to get better and get ready for Tuesday.
Hart said that after his Knicks were mercy ruled yesterday in Indy. The 121-89 demolition sends the series back to the Garden at 2 games apiece. The Florida Panthers scored the tie-breaking goal at 7:31 of the third period of Game 4 in Boston last night, but the post-game talk was about their equalizer earlier in the period. The Bruins challenged the goal, saying Florida's Sam Bennett knocked Charlie Coyle into goalie Jeremy Swayman, preventing him from making the save, but they lost that challenge, and then head coach Jim Montgomery didn't want to get fined post-game.
Toronto ruled that it was a good goal, that the play didn't interfere with the goal. That's the explanation I got.
The Panthers win 3-2 for a 3-1 series lead. The Canucks are up 2-1 after a 4-3 win in Edmonton. The Mets almost swept by the Braves at home this weekend. Brandon Nimmo got them a 4-3 win last night with a 2-run homer bottom 9. And Texas is the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA softball tourney for the first time ever. And they got it despite losing the Big 12 title game to Oklahoma and having 2 fewer total wins than the Sooners, who won the 3 previous national titles. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Oklahoma's got like this dynasty. 3 in a row. I think they've won 7 championships under the same head coach. She's got a statue or something, or she's
already,
getting a statue or something. Yeah.
Best TV sport there is right now. It is so cool.
Women's college softball.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Bro,
I'm not alone.
He said this on Saturday.
Yeah, our buddy Sports Illustrated's Jimmy Traina, it's the only sport he'll watch. Because it's so cool, because the ball just is on top of the infielder. I think they should play it. It's really fun. And now ESPN puts it on 7 channels at once. You don't have a choice. Especially now that we get in the tournament. I'm a big fan.
855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, major questions surrounding a big event from yesterday. Are we buying it? Are we not buying it? We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff got an update for you. This one coming from Woj. Bronny James has been medically cleared to be drafted into the NBA. Now, we know this. He has gone both registering, I guess, for the draft, declaring for the draft. Now you can go back to school under these new rules. And also is in the transfer portal because his head coach from USC, Andy Enfield, left to go to SMU. So there's something called the NBA's Fitness to Play panel. We believe this came to be after Isaiah Austin from Baylor had an issue that was caught, and potentially a life-saving issue that was caught before he was drafted. You'll remember they did like a ceremonial draft pick for him. It was really emotional. But now Bronny has been cleared. So he's deciding, and he's going to go to the NBA scouting combine. Apparently he's going to play 5-on-5. And we all know how this is going to work out. If he declares for the draft, the Lakers have basically put it out there that they'll take him. Now he has until May 29th. That's the deadline to decide to stay in the draft or return to college. Again, he's also in the transfer portal. I mean, I get it. LeBron wants to play with Bronny, but is this the best thing for him to rush him to the NBA? I mean, to get him, I guess, in NBA development. But what's going to happen once LeBron retires and he doesn't have that protective literal father figure, his own father on the team? Is he going to be getting the same benefit of the doubt? I don't know.
So, but what's the point of staying in college, though? I think maybe there's some time. Maybe LeBron only wants to play one more year. I mean, that's possible that LeBron's like, I'm 40. Let's do one more year of this. Then I'm going to go on to my next career, which is going to be who knows what, mogul, billionaire, filmmaker, politician. He could do whatever he wants. I think, why wait? What is he going to get in college by going to Duquesne or whatever he's going to do?
Well, maybe he gets better at basketball.
So get better in the NBA. You could develop. Is he really going to get that much better at college to make him a good pro?
Well, they probably think so. I imagine LeBron would want him to have actually set him up for like a long NBA career or a productive NBA career, not just a 1 year to play along with me and ride the bench and we get in for a couple, minutes together and some photo ops. And what does that do for the kid?
Yeah, I mean, it's a risk though. Say that Bronny says, I'm going to go back to college for 1 year.
Yeah.
How do we know? Is LeBron's body going to hold up? It's a risk that they could blow this opportunity to be like the Griffeys and just for fun. Why not? I feel like you only play once. LeBron only has one career. He might as well make this happen. I don't think the downside is so tremendous. But see, the reality is that Bronny's probably not going to have a productive NBA career with or without him. So why not just do this?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's the interesting thing about the Ken Griffey Jr. Senior example is that Senior had this whole long career where he's with the Big Red Machine and he has his own legacy.
Yep.
And then Ken Griffey Jr. became one of the greatest baseball players ever. What's Bronny's legacy here? Like, does he not have a say in this whole thing about how's he going to be remembered? He's not going to have his own legacy like Ken Griffey Jr., we don't think, where he's going to go on to be one of the faces of the sport. It's going to feel a little like a tag along on my dad, and then what happens?
I mean, his name is LeBron James.
I know.
I mean, here's the issue. If he goes back to college and LeBron Sr. retires, then he'll never have an NBA career. This might be his only... He will not get drafted scoring 4 points a game at a losing college team. So maybe this is his best chance. And I got to think if I'm a young basketball player, I want to be in the NBA. It's a rare opportunity. Also, he's got some physical skills. They say he can play defense. I don't know. I would not risk going back to college. You only have so much time here with LeBron. And you got to make this father-son happen. Father-son thing. For me, I want to see it. I want to.
So
don't
selfish.
You guys want to see it?
Of course we want to see it, but that's the thing. There's an actual person here, right? And
how does it help Bronny James to go back to college, have his dad retire, and never have an NBA career, and we get to see him be a part-time player in college or whatever? How's that help anybody?
Well, because it teaches you, first of all, that like not everything's going to be handed to you. And then secondly, which I'm sure he already knows, he doesn't need me to be like, learn this life lesson. But the other part, too, is not everybody goes to the NBA. It's freaking hard to make the NBA. It's
right, so
hard.
if you have a chance to do
hard.
If you have a chance to do it, you should take it.
But also,
the chance is only because you're your dad. Excuse me, Jay. It's not because you actually earned anything.
But also, he wouldn't be the first freshman to average 4 points in college and then 3-4 years later, maybe after playing some college basketball, become a really good player and get drafted. Like, what was Dalton Connect averaging his freshman year at whatever school he was at? Like,
but your guy, Jalen Brunson.
Right.
Didn't do anything.
Right. Like Jalen Brunson was a backup player. Like,
but there's a million guys who scored 4 points a game as a freshman and never went anywhere.
Right, but they don't have Bronny's pedigree though. Bronny's one of the best high school seniors.
The trainers,
right? Like why couldn't he develop?
Just let him do his own
kid?
path.
He's just a massive long shot. I mean, honestly, for every Jalen Brunson, there's 500 guys who don't make it. I mean, listen, when I was scoring 3.6 points per game as JV at Dartmouth, and I had dreams of maybe being the next JJ Redick, it was not going to happen. No, honestly, you say that. There's so much risk. Bronny might have this one chance.
What did we learn when it comes to the defending NBA champs? We've got that. Plus, did the Knicks just run out of gas, run out of steam? 855-212-4227. We turn our attention to NBA teams that are still playing. Next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. I am literally in a state of depression, Maggie.
Oh, no.
I thought I had a bet won. I thought the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to knock out the Denver Nuggets. We bet a gross food bet. I had to eat Rocky Mountain oysters. You would have had to eaten lime jello tuna fish. And now the series is tied 2-2. And that's the worst kind of bet when you have it won and it's pulled out from underneath you.
Well, first of all, I haven't won it yet. The series is tied 2-2. And I know you think this is over and that Denver has somehow won this series already.
But a defending champion loses the first two at home and then goes on the road and wins the next two. You don't think they figured out that opponent? They obviously have.
Well, they definitely have. However, I think that Minnesota is not going to be intimidated when the series moves back to Denver on Tuesday night. They have already won 2 games in Denver, something that no team did last last year and throughout the entire Nuggets run to the championship.
So are they intimidated at home? It's not a matter of intimidation or not intimidation. They had this physical style, and Denver adjusted.
Well, that, and they made some key coaching adjustments, and you're going to have to now do the adjustment to the adjustment. It's odd because, this weird thing with Minnesota that their coach, got injured in the last series. So he's sitting behind the bench. I mean, he's still making adjustments, but it's definitely unique. Listen, here's what's going on, just bottom line for you, and how the Nuggets got back into this series. The role players starting hitting shots. Jokic continued to be his brilliant self, just always being in the middle of the action. And that extra day helped Jamal Murray. The extra day of rest definitely helped him get more healthy. And then on the flip side, Anthony Edwards is still his brilliant self and 44 points yesterday. He's aggressive. He's a winning player, but the other players on the Timberwolves had to step up a little bit. And, it's like a Karl Anthony Towns. You hate to rag on the guy because, he's been through a lot in his life, and Mother's Day was tough for him, and he mentioned it yesterday. But at the same time, he has not been consistent enough in his career, let alone consistent enough in these playoffs. And so Edwards tries to hold him accountable, and he's got to step up scoring-wise, and he just had a really bad game yesterday.
Yeah, I feel it's like a boxing match where the T-Wolves came out and gave their best punch in round one and knocked the Nuggets down, but they didn't knock them out. And then the Nuggets, like a true champion, I'm using the boxing metaphor again, are ready to slug it out.
Right.
And just Jokic, I kept thinking about Jokic's brothers during the game, believe it or not.
The Goons?
Yes, because basically the T-Wolves shoved around Jokic and everybody else in the first two games, but you can't shove around Serbian goon like Jokic. So Jokic came out with a physical style I hadn't seen before. He was really aggressive. He was flaring his elbows out, and then he just dominated. I mean, his fourth quarter was amazing last night.
Yep.
I don't know if he missed a shot when it mattered, and he was finding everybody on these cool passes. So again, it reminded me, I was down on him because I had said before this series, oh my gosh, he's getting into the Larry Bird kind of top 10 player of all time conversation. And then it looked like, okay, now maybe he's a one and done. Again, man, he's an all-time player. We're really witnessing one of the greats. And I know you're wowed by the passing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, how he was finding Aaron Gordon under the basket. I mean, his ability. There's always, even some of these passes that look like they're going 5 feet into the stands somehow land in the right place. It's really crazy. And you're right about the physicality. And we've talked about this a lot because it deserves to be mentioned anytime you're talking about the NBA playoffs. The officiating is so different now that they are letting everything go. I swear, I feel like I saw a body slam last night at one point that gets not called. So, if I'm the head coach of the Nuggets, Mike Malone, I'm telling Jokic, you've got to be physical because they're not calling anything.
Yeah,
and who's more likely to get the call on the other side? The 3-time MVP.
Absolutely. Unless you're Rudy Gobert, then they'll call everything. If you or Miles Turner, if you set a pick and you're a center in today's NBA, that's the one thing they're calling. If somebody's driving the basket and you tackle them, no big deal. I am very bothered by that, by the way. There is no consistency in the physical play at all. It seems like random times they're going to call a whistle. But then again, I thought that was going to doom Denver. It clearly is not. And it makes sense because you got a great front court. You got Porter, Gordon, and Jokic. You're not going to intimidate the Nuggets. That's very clear. And KCP is another tough guy. So you're not going to out-tough them. It looked like that Minnesota was headed that way. Now they're just going to, Cat's going to have to step up. Everyone's going to have to play their best game.
Let's hear from the Timberwolves head coach. His name's Chris Finch, of course. And he talks about how the team beat themselves, especially at the end of the first half.
This is a great team. They're not going to beat themselves. We talked about that at the beginning of the series. We can't have it's inexcusable to have a segment like that where they have 8 points in 7 seconds or something like that, whatever it was, to close the quarter when we had done a good job of kind of chipping back into the game.
Now, listen, I believe it was 8 points in 8 seconds, whatever it was. But Jamal Murray is not always going to hit a 55-footer to make you pay. But it's a fair point in the sense that there can be no lulls and lapses when you're in tight games. Listen, we see blowouts happen all the time. Friday night, yesterday with the Knicks and Pacers, blowouts happen. But when you're in these tight games, and this game last night, Perloff, it was a game 4 that felt a little bit like a game 7 because you go down 3-1 feels just so much like curtains, you know, as opposed to having the series tied 2-2, which means this is a fresh series. This is now best 2 out of 3. and whatever's going to happen, And I think you saw the experience of the Nuggets. You hate to say this, but as you get deeper into these series, that's where the experience pays off.
Yeah, I mean, great teams finish halves, right?
Yeah.
You look at the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, and they usually start the third quarter off well. That was the second that halftime collapse happened. I mean, the T-Wolves, there were 3 terrible plays there. They threw the ball away. You're right. You had a point earlier. Jokic throws a long pass. You're like, well, that thing's going to the stands. The T-Wolves throw a long pass, and it actually does go into the stands. They could get really
starts a fast break for the other team.
They get sloppy at exactly the wrong times. And as perfect as Anthony Edwards is, he had a killer turnover last night.
Yep. Gobert's not looking.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it was a comedy of
And you wasted a really great shooting night from Anthony Edwards, 5 for 8 from 3. One of them was a heave, too. So it was really 5 for 7. And by the way, he's not open on any of those 3-pointers. He is so good. Everyone knows what he's going to do. He is a tremendous player. But now it becomes the next challenge. How do you bring the rest of your team with you? And I'm not sure it's going to happen this year. And I think I'm going to have to eat Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah, is the bet. If the Nuggets win, Perloff's got to eat the Bulls. You know what?
So I'm reading a lot about this. This is a real delicacy. Like, people pay for this. Like, they want to eat these.
Yeah, I've eaten them before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, when my husband and I were on a trip to, where else? Colorado.
How was it?
Anything that is deep fried with ranch dressing all over it, I could be eating anything. I have no idea what it is. It didn't stand out, put it that way.
Okay. All right. That makes me feel good. I was really grossed out by this.
I don't know if I think we should try to, listen, if the Nuggets win the series and you have to eat the Rocky Mountain oysters.
I'm going to have to up it a little bit?
The Bulls tax. I just don't think you should be able to eat them fried. Because again,
no.
We could fry your shoe and put ranch on it. It's going to taste the same.
What other ways are there prepared? I'm not eating it raw.
No, you don't have to eat it raw, but like smoked.
Oh.
Why is smoked so
because
offensive to you?
Because of texture. Like there's no breading to protect you from eating a testicle.
Bull's testicle.
I've seen pictures of the smoked version of the Rocky Mountain oysters, and it is not good.
You wince when they
like if they're fried, you can pretend anything's under there.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like as much.
EJ, which would
penalty.
you rather see? Me try and swallow one of these Rocky Mountain oysters, or Maggie do a lime jello tuna can, knowing that she hates the consistency of Jello products?
Well, Jello and tuna fish is that's a disgusting, diabolical combination, and I loathe the person who made it up.
Also,
it's like I said earlier in the show. I just feel like, hey, both teams play hard. That's how I feel. I'm like, whatever happens, I win anyway. You know,
if there's a way that we could both lose this bet, I'm sure EJ would love it.
I take that for sure.
If we both lose, then EJ has to eat something. Let's rope him into this, Maggie.
No, EJ can sit this one out. He still has to run gassers at some point for losing our NFL draft bet. So here's a question we put out for you on social media. At Maggie and Pearl is where you can find the show on the Twitter. Do you think Anthony Edwards has a killer instinct? Perloff, you mentioned before, you thought that maybe he seemed a little too, was it blasé?
He's too nice. He's too nice right now.
71% say yes, they do believe he has the killer instinct. And count me amongst that 71.
Okay, there's killer instinct, then there's killer instinct.
What?
Should I wrote in italics? How would I write that poll?
Did you put a different emphasis
The
there?
killer instinct, all caps, is Kobe. Kobe on the scale of killer instinct. Kobe would kill you. And I just think that
Jordan really was the number one, right?
I think no, because Jordan had. I think Kobe was number one because Jordan was more talented than Kobe. Jordan had a combination of talent and killerness. Kobe had just killerness. He had talent. Don't get me wrong, but he had an incredible. Like Kobe would spend the entire summer alone in a dark gym, not practicing with others, just so nobody got an edge. Jordan had friends. He was playing cards at night. I think where LeBron.
So it's really Jordan's gambling habit that really made him more human.
There's also folks who say that he did that to get a mental edge on his opponents as well.
Yeah.
That he softened up Barkley and Ewing and those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
And so there might have been a little method to that madness.
Well, put up the poll. Who is more? I guess people will say Jordan because he won more titles, but Kobe had an incredible killer mentality. Like that was his, in my opinion, his superpower. Where Jordan had a combination of superpowers.
Well,
he actually had the power of flight, which was a gigantic bonus for him.
Yeah, I can see how that would help when you play basketball. Well, now we're talking about Kobe versus Jordan. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards and whether or not he still has this, if he has that sort of killer instinct. Because here's the thing, he's been compared to Michael Jordan. He's trying to not take that comparison, right? He's trying to avoid the comparison to Michael Jordan. I don't know,
Right, which is not exactly what you expect. Kobe loved the Michael Jordan comparison. He lived for it.
well, and I think he was modeling himself so much after
Right.
Kobe. I don't know if Anthony Edwards seems like he's actually just sort of one of one. He kind of feels like he's an original.
Let's play the sound, and this is really where I was getting from. He just sounds like, right now at 22, just too nice of a guy, where the point where I don't think he's going to call out his teammates to the degree that is going to get them over the hump.
Anthony, did you have any words with Jamal or any of the Nuggets at the end of the game there? Looked like you might have been saying
I just
something.
told his ass, that's what we love that. Keep talking that. That's what we like. Well, I love it, So, he ain't say nothing back, but I'm pretty sure he heard me. They heard me. Yeah, we live for that.
Okay, that does sound like killer, but like, can you imagine Kobe saying something like, sounds like he's smiling and laughing when he says that. Kobe would have been so despondent after that loss that he wouldn't be able to get out a sentence.
I don't know. I think maybe we're misremembering this. I think Kobe would have really loved some trash talk. And what I like
But
about
after
Anthony
a
Edwards,
loss, Kobe would never say that. He would never say anything like that.
maybe not. Maybe he'd wait till after they win and then
He told Rajai Bell to see him in the octagon.
he like could do a callback or something like keeping receipts. I think the other part too is this to me was what I like about Anthony Edwards is he's unfazed by the competition. It really, you have to have that kind of confidence when it's, to be honest, unearned. Like, yes, you were the number 1 overall pick and you're a great young star, but you haven't won jack yet. So for him to have this type of confidence, and it doesn't seem like it's fake or false bravado, he really feels this way, that he's not intimidated by the defending champs. And I think that's a good way to be. And that's how you want your sort of alpha number 1 option to be. Not, oh, we love them, or, hey, we knew this was going to be hard or whatever. He's saying, we want that. Bring the smoke. I'm still chirping at Jamal Murray. Yeah, I know he heard me. He didn't say anything, but, he heard me. Like, we're not going to back down just because they're the Nuggets.
That's all good and great, but they lost the game.
Yeah, but they won the first 2, so they're still in this series. It's not like they're getting swept.
Remember, you had the Michael Jordan famous quote from The Last Dance after they lost that game 1 to the Hornets, and he was like, it takes a man of pride to talk trash when you're up. He's like, a real man talks pride when it talks trash when it's even score, which is what Anthony Edwards is doing here.
Wait, what? Did this really happen where he said after a Hornets game? Or was that in the last
you
game?
don't remember the scene where he's got the baseball bat and the cigar in his hand? He looks like a lunatic. And he's like, after B.J. Armstrong had a big game 1 and the Hornets were up, he was talking trash. He was like, any man could talk when you're up. He's like, now a real man talks trash when it's even score. Then we see how things are changing. And of course, the Bulls won 4 games in a row against the Hornets and wiped them out. But essentially, Anthony Edwards is taking that line here. He wasn't talking trash after they were up 2-0. He's talking trash after they tied 2-2 after they just lost 2 games in a row.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. Okay, that all sounds great, but Anthony Edwards has got to get on these guys because, I don't know, you need everybody who's not named Anthony Edwards on that team let me down yesterday. Every one of them. Actually, Naz Reid was pretty good. And that's a huge factor, by the way. If Naz Reid can hit his threes, that's a superpower the T-Wolves have. But regardless, I need Anthony Edwards to really be the Jordan and just lift everyone with him.
So another poll for you at Maggie and Pearl. You can go vote. Is the T-Wolves Nuggets series over? 56% say no. So
wow, 44% are with me.
Yeah.
But then again, if you just say, is it over, it doesn't really say which way.
Yeah.
So maybe you got some T-Wolves fans in there too to help me out.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible. 855-212-4227. We will turn our attention to the Knicks. That was a flop yesterday. EJ, I can imagine that's not what you wanted on your Mother's Day,
My mom didn't like it either.
I bet she didn't. How could she? All the moms out there. All the Pacers moms liked it.
The Pacers, they had all their moms at the game. Like, they showed them all before the game started. I was like, I've never seen this before. They just named lower third and everything.
I love it.
It was cool. I mean, it would have been cool if they didn't then hit every single 3-pointer.
Hey, what happened to Tyrese Halliburton's ankle injury?
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's off on vacation with Jamal Murray's calf injury.
And Luka's knee injury.
It's crazy. Yeah, well, Luka at least is limping a little bit.
And it's off on vacation with Joel Embiid.
It's really on vacation. I gotta be honest.
Because he was really hurt, unlike these other fakers.
If my kid was in the NBA, you know how Allen Iverson's mom used to wear a shirt that just said Allen's mom or whatever? That'd be me.
She was braiding his hair on the bench.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe that's a little too much. Just like a picture of their kid, just like I'm like LeBron's mom.
I'm not a huge fan of overly televised sports parents.
Like Kevin Durant's mom would sit in the front row
Yeah.
mid-court.
You didn't like the Tommy Cutlet's dad and family, all those jokers?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't love that?
Oh, the kissing on the cheek with the agent.
The agent.
That was cute because that guy was a scrub. But, I mean,
Steph Curry's mom.
no.
She's around a lot.
No, maybe this is a football thing, but, there's one group of people NFL coaches hate more than anyone else.
What?
Parents.
Parents.
They hate parents.
Brock Purdy's parents got a lot of airtime at the Super Bowl. Definitely.
I don't know. Do you guys like seeing the parents? I always think that there's something uncomfortable.
I've grown tired of seeing, you talk about player parents, I've grown tired of seeing the grandpa Harbaugh.
Oh, Jack?
They show Jack
Harbaugh?
a little too much.
Who's got it better than us, Jack Harbaugh?
I think
when
it's
the guys
funnier
are
with
playing
the
against
mom.
when they're playing
She's-
against each other, I get it. But like just random Jack Harbaugh, like when it's not Jim versus John, I don't get it.
The mom's crazier than the dad. The dad, he's like kind of stoic, obviously former coach, but the Harbaugh mom's the one who's going nuts all the time.
But what do you like? What do you hate? What do you hate more, Perloff? The parents
Or
they
the
show,
wives?
or the spouses? Right.
Not a fan of either. I mean, Brenda Warner seems lovely. That was too much.
Oh, that was
That was only if you know you know. With the
What do you
Brenda
mean?
Warner.
I mean, you couldn't miss her. She was more televised than every other player.
I know, but it's like if you said that to someone under 30, they're not going to understand what you're saying.
Oh, I
because
see
that was
what
such
you're
a
saying, yeah.
specific moment where Kurt Warner's
Yeah.
completing this all-time thing, and they just kept panning to her.
Unbelievable.
With her haircut and
Yeah,
everything?
you're right. That was actually now 24 years ago. That's
Yeah.
a long time ago. My favorite, though, is one I do love is when John Morant's dad posed with Usher. That was awesome.
Because they look alike.
T Morant, does anybody sit closer to the court than T Morant?
I mean, I prefer when T Morant was about to fight Shannon Sharp.
That was a
Yeah.
bad mistake that he would have made.
He knew it too. That's why he got behind Steven Adams as fast as he could.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp
He
would have
is-
kicked his ass.
He is very, very close to the court. Or used to be, at least. I don't know what he's doing now.
No, I think they're all taking a breather.
Well, Ja barely played this year, so he
Yeah.
sat a lot of these games out.
No, parents don't take breathers either. Like,
Why don't we put that up on a poll? What's more annoying, the parents or the spouses? Is it more annoying? Neither of them annoy me.
Who are the spouses that get a lot of playtime?
Aisha
Curry. I'll
But
tell you
you're
what,
the one
last
who
year in the
doesn't like-
playoffs, De'Aaron Fox's wife, they showed a ton. She had the baby in her hands a bunch.
Well,
And
that would require anyone to watch a Kings playoff
Oh,
game.
boy.
They were playing the Warriors. You were watching it. Relax.
I can't even remember that. It was so long ago.
Yeah, to be
Maggie's
fair-
a show. We were talking about it.
They don't really show Savannah very much. She's not very visible.
No.
You got to keep in mind, anyone who doesn't know our show, Maggie actually had a long tirade about bringing kids up to the press conference. So you can't all of a sudden become pro-family. You're the one who were extremely bothered by coaches bringing their little kids up.
I never said don't have him in the stands. Just
It was
don't have him at
implied.
the press conference.
It was implied.
Yeah, no, leave him home. 855-212-4227. So there you go. Had a little conversation about the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Is this series over? Do you think the Nuggets have figured out the T-Wolves? Do you consider Anthony Edwards a killer? Perloff says no. Killer.
That is not. He is a killer, but he's not a killer.
Sure. Decipher that, America.
He
highlight killer.
22-year-old Anthony Edwards. He's going to look back when he's 27 and winning NBA titles and be like, "Man, I could have been more of a killer."
Also, what do you find more annoying when they pan on the family of the superstar, the parents, or the spouse? Do you remember when they put it on someone they thought was Matthew Stafford's wife and it turns out to be a wife's friend?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, listen, if you want to start a Kelly Stafford conversation, just throw out the rundown. There's a lot going on there.
I know. We didn't bring up Taylor Swift in this conversation.
That's what I was
until
thinking
I just
about.
did.
Yeah.
855-212-4227. Lots to do, including someone new on the scene. Looks like a future superstar. I'll tell you about him next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
To say infinity's mice. Believe Bilatti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bilatti is getting upset. Maggie
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Can you hear this plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses mom. Co-stars and the crew. Those were the days. He cries out, ooh, ooh.
4 minutes remaining.
He's got something to say. Infinity's nice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear this plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses more. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC.
3 minutes remaining.
Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. He's got something to say. Infinity's nice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear the plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. This is more. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo.
2 minutes remaining.
Can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right.
Well, 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining.
Glorious glad. Otis Miller, Tampa Bay, loves the city, come what may. Switching lanes, no time to waste. Live a life at an infinite pace. Maggie and Perloff on the radio. Infinity Sports, they steal the show. Talking stats, they know the game. Turn up the volume, let your passion flame. It by days on the grind. Fix it, take issues one at a time. But when the sun sets, he finds his groove. Live streams on Twitch, making moves. Otis Miller, Tampa Bay, loves the city.
Welcome back. Maggie, Gray, Andrew Perloff. So, got to give you a quick update on Pittsburgh Steelers. There were a couple different rookie camps going on over the weekend, but how about this from The Athletic? Even though Russell Wilson was not at the rookie camp, a team source said the Steelers haven't seen somebody work as hard as Wilson at his craft since the early days of Antonio Brown, who is notorious for the effort he put into his game to become the best wide receiver in the league for a span of more than 5 years. Wilson has put together throwing sessions with receivers in California, attended every voluntary workout since mid-April, and has been seen at Pirates games, Penguins games, and other events around the city since joining the team. So he wasn't at this rookie camp, but clearly Russell Wilson is like acting as if he's the new big man in town, which is odd because Justin Fields is sitting right there. I mean,
Well, I mean, Russell is a named starter, right? That part doesn't seem like he was on. By the way, it was hashtag CTESPN, your source on the Antonio Brown hard work.
This is what I got from The Athletic.
I know, but I think Russell Wilson, I think it's totally appropriate for him to act as if the starter and embrace the city. Do you think that it's a real quarterback battle? Because he's been named the heavy front runner by Tomlin. So
I think so, but I also don't know how much of a grip he has on that job.
well, that might be the reality, but he's got to act as if that he is the guy.
Well, but it's not a popularity contest here, right?
But it's a matter of leadership for him to act like that.
I hear you, but again, I don't think he's got this firm iron grip on the starting spot where this is all fine and well and make yourself part of the city. But the first time he throws 2 picks in a game or they go on a 3-game losing streak, I mean, there's a reason why you brought Justin Fields in the building. It's not to watch Russell Wilson struggle.
Right, but even if you are a backup, you still should be supporting the local teams. That's a big deal in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
there's no downside to me of this. You're saying just because he doesn't have a firm hold on the job, he should not go to these events?
I'm not saying that. He can go to whatever events he wants. I think that you're not running for mayor. There's nothing
Welcome
you
to
can
the Russell
do.
Wilson experience. He's always running for mayor.
Okay, that's fine, and I'm sure he'll have a brilliant political career when this is all done. But there's not endearing yourself to the fans is not going to get you all the goodwill I think you think.
Yeah.
That you can go to all the Bruins games and Pirates games you want. The moment you lose 2 games in a row, they're going to be calling for your butt to be benched for Justin Fields, and that's just the reality of this because the Steelers have set it up this way. You know, they have a former first-round pick sitting literally right over his shoulder. So
Yeah,
this
but
is
I mean-
fine. Ingratiate yourself to the city. I just don't think it's going to mean a whole lot. Is what I'm
Well,
getting.
I mean, they were very clear that Russell Wilson is number 1 on the depth chart. They went out of their way to say that 100 times. And by that thing about Russell Wilson being the hard worker, that was brought to you by the same people who reported that Russell Wilson woke up in the middle of the night to rehab his finger. Like Russell is, I don't want to use the word phony, but Russell gets this stuff out here. That's the meaningless part to me. Russell's been a hard worker his whole life. It's just like Russell's always presenting this idea of Russell. And maybe it's connected to what you're saying. Like Russell can't just be an NFL player. He's got to be quote unquote Russell Wilson with all that entails.
I don't
So
know if it's Wolverine blood or what.
Yeah, of course he has to go to the Penguins game. Of course he has to act like this. There's no surprise to me.
That's fine, but again, all this stuff is not going to help you, I don't think, in this battle. And listen, they named him the starter. They definitely did. I think that's a lot of reasons. If you just put Russell Wilson and Justin Fields just straight up in a quarterback battle, no sway either way, that's not a slam dunk that Russ wins that battle.
I don't know. I would hope Russ could win that battle. He's got, he should be better at running an NFL offense because Justin Fields, as awesome as he is, was not doing a great job in Chicago. He would hold the ball too long. I think Russell does a lot of the little things that I would hope would give him a real advantage here. The guy's been playing football forever.
Yeah, I know.
And also, too, I think the Steelers want Russell to start.
I think they do, maybe because he's got a relationship with the minority owner, or maybe they want him to start to be a steadying force. I don't know.
Well, I think you got big-time weapons there, and I'm not sure you think Justin Fields is the guy to get the ball out to George Pickens and hand the ball off to Najee Harris a million times.
Then why is he there? Because you could, maybe
was
you just say
costing
value,
nothing.
but you would have Russell Wilson that you basically also got for nothing. And if you really want, like Mason Rudolph can get the ball down the field.
Well, you're saying when they got Justin Fields, they got him to start?
I think they got him because they obviously have to see, they're taking a flyer that maybe he could be the quarterback of the future.
Yeah, I mean, they brought it was 6th-round pick with the possibility to go to 4th. I mean, that's backup rounds. I mean, what's the downside of bringing him in?
There's not, except for you can say Russell's the starter until you're blue in the face, and because Fields is right behind him, I'm not going to fully ever believe that Russell Wilson is not a couple bad plays away from being benched.
I hear you. But I think, get back to the original thing, I think it's cool for Russell. I mean, to ingratiate himself to Pittsburgh. Even if he's a backup quarterback in Pittsburgh, he should still be totally embracing it. That's all good, right?
It is. I'm just saying it's not going to help you with the fans if he struggles. I don't think. Let's get to Bogusch. Who's got headlines?
Hello again, guys. The full NFL schedule comes out on Wednesday night. Between now and then, we are going to get some key games from the TV partners, beginning this morning with NBC letting us know that opening night, that first Thursday night, will feature the Chiefs hosting the Ravens. Anthony Edwards scored 44 points, did some trash talking with Jamal Murray, all in a Game 4 loss at home to the Nuggets last night, 115-107. The home team still has not won a game in this series, so Edwards and friends head back to Denver to start a best of 3, and he's pumped.
I don't know how people look at it, but I look at it like I'm happy. I'm ready. We're competing at the highest level, and I'm smiling about it because I'm happy. I'm ready to go play. If we play tomorrow, I'll be ready. So it's going to be fun.
Now they do play tomorrow
Mike Conley's
night.
like, please don't. I really don't want to play tomorrow. Please give me a day off.
Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth for the Nuggets. That game a little tighter than yesterday afternoon in Indy. The Pacers cruising to a 121-89 series-tying win over the Knicks. Game 5 for them at the Garden tomorrow night. Bronny James has cleared the NBA's medical testing. He'll be a full go at the pre-draft combine this week. Now let me get back to that Urban Meyer recent conversation with Lou Holtz about NIL, because what does Urby think about this? Washington men's basketball just got a commitment from Great Osobor, great name, very good player, averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds at Utah State last season. He is now following head coach Danny Sprinkle to the Huskies, and he's reportedly getting over $2 million to do so in NIL and other goodies, making him the highest paid men's player for the coming season that we know of at the moment.
What's his real name?
I don't actually know that that's not his real name.
How do you spell it? Great O-S-O-B-O-R.
O-S-O-B-O-R.
Great Osobor.
Yep.
Cool name.
I think that's his real name.
Yeah. I mean, according to Wikipedia, that's his name.
What if he was just mediocre with a name like that? It reminds me.
I mean, that's the risk, right?
Osobor.
God
He's from
Shamgad's
Spain.
real name was not God Shamgod, right?
Shamgod Wells.
Shamgod Wells, right?
Yes.
I just think that you got to be careful. Like, if you name your kid Gunner and he can't throw a football, that's bad.
Well, Precious True of the Knicks. I mean, his whole family are
God's gift.
God's gift. Like those are their names. Which is their whole basketball family. It's
I know.
New York royalty.
Those are good players, though. I mean, imagine if your kid stinks.
Well, I always thought about that. If you name your kid like Adonis or King or something, and they just become like a CPA, does it feel a little like
right?
You know,
like what about the St. Brown family? Equanimous, Amon-Ra. I can't remember the third St. Brown's name. Like that's a heavy expectation on a kid to live up to that name.
It's funny now that you say it. I did not think about that when I was naming my kid. I mean, we gave him a regular name like Lucas, but we never thought, oh, we can't name him God's gift because it's too much to live up to.
Maybe you screwed up.
He is God's gift, but no, we didn't give him that name. I did think, are there some names where you just have to be in a certain profession? Like when I was covering high school sports, there was a kid named Steele DeVito.
Oh,
no relation to Tommy DeVito.
Lacrosse player.
He was a linebacker.
Yeah, you got to be
Steele DeVito.
I'm looking at my scan of this athletic article on Great Osobor. It seems like his parents named him Great. Like that was what they did.
Yeah. Wow.
I had a guy in a game this year named Always Right. WRIGHT.
Now that's fun.
And they gave him Always as a first name.
You know, I was at Andrew Bogus's son's Little League game. There was actually a kid named E4.
Jones.
So
E4 Jones. It was apropos.
Oh, my God.
Perloff is killing these kids.
Oh, man.
Is it me killing them or is it a lack of effort after they went to the diner and had a bunch of milkshakes?
I wish you had come yesterday morning. They played a very good game.
Sure.
1-1 game, went down the last batter.
It feels like saying their girlfriend lives in Canada somewhere. You've got a girlfriend it's in Canada.
She goes to the other school.
Yeah, they played well. It was just in the morning before you got there.
And here's strikeout-looking Smith.
Thanks for mentioning. Mets left fielder Brandon Nimmo did not start Sunday Night Baseball because of right side discomfort. He was on the broadcast telling the ESPN crew we might see him later in the game, and we did.
Swing and a drive. Well hit right center. Back goes Harris onto the track. It's gone! Unbelievable! Brandon Nimmo, who was not supposed to even swing a bat today, has won the game for the Mets. A 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th inning. They have defeated the Braves 4-3.
Knowing the Mets, because he did swing the bat last night, he's now out for the year. That's how he rose on Mets radio.
Wow, the Mets won. It's like, yeah, they avoided the sweep.
Right. Literally sacrificing Brandon Nimmo to do so.
Also, he's one of those guys who sprints to first on a walk. He was moving it around the bases for that home run.
He entered the game as a pinch runner. He finishes it with the walk-off 2-run shot. 4-3 win. As Maggie said, all it did was avoid a 3-game sweep from the Braves. Now, speaking again of family members and partners shown during games, Livy Dunn was at PNC Park Saturday to see boyfriend PaulSkenes make his big league debut for the Pirates. 4 innings, 3 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, 7 Ks for the former #1 pick.
It was awesome. Yeah, really cool. I mean, everybody talks about the stadium, and it's an awesome stadium, awesome skyline. Fans are awesome. It was just, an awesome day.
The only thing that Skenes did more than say awesome was hit 100 miles an hour on the gun, which he did 17 times as opposed to 6 awesomes in 9 seconds.
Perloff's.
Yeah. So I just want to make it clear, like PaulSkenes is now a faster pitcher than Bob Gibson or Nolan Ryan ever dreamed of being. Get out of here. The radar guns have changed. They're all lies. There's no way these guys are all over 100 now.
Oh, come on.
This is Perloff's
get out of
big
here.
Conspiracy theory
It's
that
not even a
radar guns
conspiracy
are
theory.
bad.
Everybody agrees with me on this one. This is not a conspiracy. The radar guns, they're not bad. They've just recalibrated it. So now everybody's throwing over 100 miles an hour. The reality is guys have been pitching fast for years.
Right. What if they were bad and or non-existent, and those guys threw even faster than we thought back in the
But did they have him back in the day when Nolan Ryan was pitching? I remember
They're using like stopwatches.
I'm like,
and
oh my God,
conversion
Nolan
rates.
Ryan just got to 99 on his fastball. And now some middle relievers like hurling at 108. So there's got to be something, because no one I've ever seen pitch faster than Nolan Ryan.
I thought you were trying to say somehow that like things have changed. Like we don't calculate.
No, I think
miles
they
per
just
hour. I think it's
changed
like
the math.
distance over time is still the thing, right?
No, I think that the technology has changed on those radar guns. They're just
Don't you
way
think it'd be
different.
better now?
No, I think that baseball likes the marketing aspect and they tweak it.
Okay,
Like-
this is also
Yes.
Perloff saying the radar guns are fugazi. This is also the man who believes that the 40s at the combine are all suspect.
Well, they're faster now, yeah. But they're not. Well, they changed. They actually did change the track in Indy, but yeah, I don't. First of all, the 40s are so stupid now that they are actually tracking players with little chips in their shoulder. I don't know why they're still running the 40s, but they're clearly faster than they were 20 years ago. Just
but
look
maybe
at
the athletes are faster.
Mm.
No way.
Nah.
Couldn't possibly be.
Perloff thinks Walter Johnson would be throwing 100 if he played today.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Because PaulSkenes is like reinvented the sport in 17 100 miles per hour.
So yeah, like and whether it
might
works or not, the dude does this weird workout where he puts like a hiking backpack on and does his motion to like make him better at firing the ball at home plate. I don't think
You
Walter
have
Johnson
no
was
fear
doing
of
that.
blowing your arm out because you just blow it out, then you get
Get a
Tommy
new
John,
one.
then you blow out again, and
Right.
you get Tommy John.
I watch baseball games and it's like a normal fastball, and I see the clock. It's like 102, and it does not look any different than any other I do not buy this.
But then how come the guys who don't throw 100, you don't see like
Who doesn't throw 100?
No,
Where's
well,
this
there's some
pitcher?
pitchers out there. Like you don't
With
see the
JB
guy that used to
Moyer?
throw 91 all of a sudden throwing 94. Like they're still throwing 91.
Those guys are throwing 91. That's really 73 miles an hour each other.
So Perloff
They're throwing EFIS pitches.
Perloff has some backup in the chat. YouTube.com
Oh, yeah.
/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv /Infinity Sports Network, where Delta says it's been proven in that fastball movie they click the ball at different spots.
What's been proven?
Oh yeah, that's actually true. No,
They
they
used to clock the
measure the
ball.
fastball totally different.
Yeah, they used to clock the ball as across the
Yep.
plate. Now they clock it halfway between the plate and the mound, according to Delta.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
And a movie called Fastball.
This dude just came up and threw 1,700 mile an hour pitches in one game.
He was the #1 overall pick.
I know, but come on.
And they're throwing harder than they were back in the 70s and 80s.
I watched a highlight of this guy. This was not so radically different than every other 80s pitcher.
Okay, stand in the box then.
I will. But I will bail like John Kruk
Ron
facing Randy
Darling is
Johnson.
throwing as hard as PaulSkenes?
Do you think PaulSkenes is throwing way harder than Randy Johnson?
Yes.
I think, but Randy was throwing 99, 100.
This guy hits 117 times in one game. There were sliders hitting 100 regularly.
And that's why these guys are getting surgeries more frequently than they were when Randy Johnson was pitching. the different style of pitching. They're throwing. They're not exactly pitching, and that's why these guys are getting arm surgeries. That's what's going on.
EJ just said, "Don't encourage them." Delta.
Snitching on me in the chat.
This is EJ running like a subterfuge in the chat.
I just feel like if everybody was throwing as hard as they were now, then how come you didn't have these guys getting hurt, like Pete said? How come you didn't have guys who used to throw not that hard, all of a sudden throwing harder, that have stayed in Major League Baseball? I don't know. It feels too convenient to just say, oh, well, Skenes is obviously just getting helped out by the radar gun. I don't see it.
Delta's point does not actually support Perloff. Perloff is saying that the guns are giving you extra MPH for fun. The point is that they were measuring it the wrong way. That's what he said, is that now they're measuring it at different times, so the number's different. Had they measured Nolan Ryan halfway between home and third and the mound, he might have been at 101, not 98.
And also,
absolutely. You're saying that they're just tacking on extra MPH.
Because it looks cool.
Now we're doing it differently, so guys maybe were throwing this hard back in the day.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Yeah.
But then the point is, then why aren't they getting hurt as much as guys today?
Because they're not soft, and they don't start pitching when they're 8 years old.
I think the guys back then were throwing with their bodies more than with their
not
arms.
just their arm, yeah. And also maybe the mile per hour on the breaking pitches, which is just killer for your elbow.
Oh, that's what happened to Strasburg.
Yeah.
I mean, Chapman 106. Come on.
He threw 106 once.
That was a long time ago too. That wasn't like yesterday.
Was it
But that's whatever.
Like
The radar guns have changed. Middle relievers are hitting 100 regularly. That never happened when I was a
Okay,
kid.
then how come Jacob deGrom, when he came up, was throwing 94, and he was way more hittable than he was towards the end of his Mets run when he was throwing 100? Like, the hitters were not adjusting to his fastball as well. Did they just give him 5-6 miles per hour on his fastball?
Wait, you mean MLB champion Jacob deGrom?
No. No. Don't even.
I don't know. The fact that you're
odds.
shoehorning a Mets player into this conversation,
Well-
maybe Nolan Ryan because he was with the Mets, but that's it.
Okay. We're never going to convince Perloff on this one.
Oh, and just the fact that every year there's a new 40 record set, this doesn't seem suspicious. Like someone's reinvented track and field. Get out of here.
These dopes are training just to run a 40. Of course they're going to max it
They've
out.
been doing that for 20 years. And
That's
now
not true. 20 years ago, guys were not doing the same things to just run a 40 in the combine.
That clock has changed. Ask Daniel Jeremiah. Ask him. Call Dan right now.
DJ.
Let's get him on the show tomorrow.
All right. There we go. I think we got to the bottom of all of that. Bogusch, thank you so much. And please apologize to your son for us for how much we brought up his one singular game that Perloff happened to attend this week when he actually is a good little player and a good Bills fan.
He did hit 96 on the radar gun. I was impressed.
86, actually.
All right, coming up, we've got an update for you on one of the top NFL quarterbacks from this draft. We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So you got rookies in rookie camp. Where else for the NFL? Let's hear a little from Sean Payton, shall we? Talking about Bo Nix. He says Bo Nix is like watching a very good golfer. Let him explain why.
Well, the location of throws, you had 2 or 3 down the field throws today. It's almost like watching a good golfer. You know, sometimes when you watch his game over 2 years, you just there's a patience to how he plays. The ball comes out.
Yeah, like this could end up working.
He could be like the Xander Schauffele of the NFL. What does this golfer thing mean?
I kind of get it. I saw what Sean Payton was doing here. Now, the fact that Sean Payton loves golf so much maybe would have been a red flag before he took that Broncos
That's what
job.
I thought, too. I'm like, uh-oh. Sean's there for the wrong reasons. He's there because it's a great golf town.
Listen, he said that before he even got hired, right? He had to go to a place that had good golf. I'm like, well, he could cross half the NFL off that list. But here's the thing. I get what he's talking about. And maybe Bo Nix being a quote-unquote boring. I didn't find him boring at all when he was at Oregon. But maybe just being a consistent, steady, that could be enough and probably should be enough to win him the job. Yeah. And that might be just enough to make them, I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. Probably not. But maybe get this Broncos thing back on the right track for the first time in forever.
That's funny because Auburn Bo Nix was the exact opposite.
That was an adventure.
So, okay, if Bo Nix is possibly going to work out, he is the 6th quarterback taken. If the 6th quarterback works out, I'm telling you, this is an all-time quarterback class. Now you're starting to believe a little more. If you can believe in Bo Nix at the talentless Broncos, I mean, there are many quarterbacks in better positions this year. I think this is going to be a really productive class. And I agree with you. I think Bo Nix is in a great spot. Feels like a good marriage with Payton. And I think all the other guys have really good cases to be good.
Well, we're not going to see Michael Penix for a while if Kirk Cousins is healthy.
But I mean, Penix is coming off. I'm sorry, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles. So there is a really good chance that Penix sees time.
Yeah, I mean, JJ McCarthy with the Vikings, then obviously you have the top three guys. I think it's
all good spots.
I think in some ways, the outside of maybe Caleb Williams landing with the Bears, I think he's going to be good no matter what. I'm thinking maybe the last three, as opposed to the first three, ended up in good situations where it seems like a good marriage between quarterback and coach. And listen, I know Jaden Daniels has some weapons in Washington, but let's see what happens in Washington. Maybe the guys who were the 4, 5, and 6 quarterbacks end up being in better spots than 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I mean, I think 2 is a good marriage of coach and quarterback. If you're going to invent a Cliff Kingsbury quarterback, it would be Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, but the thing about Cliff is that if they do well that first year, I bet he gets back into the head coaching circle mix. But if Jaden Daniels wins Rookie of the Year, I bet Cliff Kingsbury is a head coach somewhere next year.
Well, you can't argue then that was a bad mix there.
But you might not keep him. That's the thing. That's the whole
Well, same with Zach Robinson in Atlanta.
Yeah, possible.
Same with actually Kevin O'Connell really runs the offense there, and Sean Payton. You're right, Sean Payton. But actually, I think all these guys, except for DrakeMaye, who really are the very developing team in New England, all these guys are kind of good spots because if you get drafted in the top 12 picks, usually it's a bad place. I mean, you don't usually have Sean Payton and all these and you don't have a 7 and 10 team and go number 1. I'm telling you, Maggie, I think there's going to be a lot of hits here. And I think Bo Nix could be one of them. The guy was awesome last year. In fact, I think if the Broncos hadn't taken him, the Raiders would have taken him right at 13.
Yeah, there was a perfect combination here of teams that were desperate for quarterbacks, and there were a lot of good options in this class. Had this been the 2021 class, the Kenny Pickett class, then I don't think you are shoehorning guys. There were just Bo Nix was a good option. I didn't think he was going to be a first rounder, but I mean the guy was a runner-up Heisman, right? He was he top 4 Heisman?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So the thing about this class is the Bears certainly weren't desperate for a quarterback, and Atlanta certainly wasn't desperate for a quarterback.
They did it anyway?
They did it anyway. So I think it was more the supply of quarterbacks than the demand. Yes, the Raiders needed one, the Broncos needed one, the Patriots needed one, and the Commanders could have stuck with Sam Howell, theoretically. Probably not. I mean, if they were number 16, they would have kept Sam Howell. I think he threw for 4,000 yards. It was pretty good, but I think this is really a good class. And I agree. I think Bo Nix, he might not have the arm strength, but the high elevation keeps the ball in the air.
Yeah, right.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's why Sean Payton likes it for his golf game.
Yeah, you keep the golf ball in the air for a mile.
Yeah.
That's the best I got. By the way, I tweeted out that the radar guns have changed in baseball. Yeah. Interesting tweet back. Back then, when Nolan Ryan was pitching, guys would pitch 9 innings and relievers would pitch 4 to 5 innings. Now the change pitchers every inning, and that's why they can throw it so fast.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good theory.
Yeah,
Wish I thought of that.
A lot of bullpen arms. Everyone throws gas.
Nah, I think it's the radar guns have changed. It's a better theory. It's more fun.
Perloff's one conspiracy theory is just radar guns.
2 because the 40s.
And the 40 times are getting faster because of the guns.
Wow.
And the track.
I noticed we got through a whole show. We didn't talk about the NBA draft lottery.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that.
Because the NBA needs Atlanta and Washington to go 1-2. Get out of here.
We've got so much to do. We'll have to do it tomorrow. Join us then. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you, Pete Pilati, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers, callers. You guys are the best. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.